So we can do what's Hondo on the mic from Leo's Paradise. Random stream drop like a Dragon Ball fight. No lie, plan stream stacking up, but here's a twist in time. Freestyling on the deck like Luffy's punchlines. Up the channels faster than Zoro sword swings. Gaming pop culture, it's the chaos he brings. Talking movie reboots, superhero hype. Hondo passing the mic, now Bishop's in sight. Cutting flip screen, frame by frame, I align. Laying bass lines heavy, keep the rhythm divine. Jumping 5 videos, can't keep up with the pace. Pass the mic back, Leo's leading the chase. Off the rails, no script, just a freestyle ride. Nerdcore king, let the randomness collide. Playing the knob, Leo's got the flow to entice. It's words of paradise, the chaos comes to life. No script, just a freestyle ride. Nerdcore king, let the randomness collide. Planning on Leo's got the flow to entice. It's words of paradise, the chaos comes to life. Just a freestyle rhyme. Nerdcore king, let the randomness collide. Planning on Leo's got the flow to entice. It's words of paradise, the chaos comes to life.
Yo, welcome back to another Sunday special. How are all y'all vital idols doing? Oh, I love doing these. Thank you so much for getting us to tier 3 on Friday. So we're going to kick back. We're going to relax. We're going to do some reaction videos. And, yeah, we're just going to have a chill Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon. Let's see who all we got in here. And, you know, more folks will trickle in. Man, Bishop, when you see this, thank you so much. I love that intro you made me, dude. Yo, Lionheart was first saying, hey, yo, how you doing, Lionheart? Thank you so much for showing up. Mage Wolf in the house. How are you? Cinevere's Fish, my man with a plan. Paul Byersmith, bro, absolutely appreciate you showing up. Luminous Not saying me, yo, y'all. How you doing, LMA? Cinevere's Fish, of course, again. For the Doberman, I'm cooking for a huge family dinner. Hey, that's fucking great. You gotta love that. Watching S&A, some Stitch and Adam dealing with 7 dogs. Hope you have a great stream, you MTG cheating motherfucker. Where did this narrative that I cheated MTG come from? Because I saw y'all talking some ridiculous shit on X. I was like, so someone said something real fun. I don't remember which one of y'all it was, but one of you said something along the lines of like, I bet he plays Ristic Studies in an all-red deck. And like, that was, I won't lie, that made me laugh. I was mid-game and someone was taking a fucking long turn. So like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to scroll X for a bit and saw that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty funny. Lucifer, man, thank you so much, brother. Wyron Bly, how you doing, my man? Thank you so much. Philip Morgan is here. Who else we got? Hey, we got Miss Sassy Sasquatch, Mama Sasquatch. Cannot wait to see you in Vegas. And Lucifer the Doberman, for 7 months. I bet Leon plays a mill deck when he plays against women. Funny thing, I actually have, it's not within Armory right now, but I have a mill deck. My main Pioneer tournament deck's a mill deck. Although I also recently got together a Pioneer deck that is a mostly mono red splash green aggro deck. So yes, red deck wins. It's pretty nasty. So Jans Landers, I love the intro, some hella talent. Oh yeah, that was AI, but it takes a lot of talent to make good AI intro stuff. And Bishop definitely did his work. How you doing, Jans? Thank you so much. It was you that said, I thought it was you, Lucifer, but I wasn't sure because there were several people. There's a few of you going back and forth. Pulse, how you doing, Pulse? Zelozy is here. Bishop, you in time. I hope you got to hear that dope ass intro that you made me. Boosh in the house. How you doing, Boosh? Rhino the Hamster's here. How you doing, Rhino? Truly appreciate you. Yeah, you did. I feel so called out. It's like people just know based on my douchey personality what sort of decks I play. Yeah, mono red, aggro, and mill because he's a fucking twat. Yeah, you were correct. Hey, how you doing, Retro Prater Mine? Appreciate you showing up. And last but not least, we got Salka Alpaca. I think there's Salaka Alpaca. Either way, thank you so much. Let's get into it. So yes, the poll went up on X. Gaming or reactions, and given the just absolute blast everyone had with the gaming stream last week, I was expecting that to be what was voted on, but no, by a pretty decent chunk, reactions won. So people been throwing reactions in the Discord. We're gonna go over them. We're gonna just react to them. We're gonna have some dialogue, and it's gonna be a good time. So let's go ahead and just crank out that first video. Give me one moment here to pull it up. In fact, there's a pretty interesting looking ones. This one came from Jake Martin. So let's start with this. Give me one moment here. And for all I know, maybe it won't be interesting. We'll see. But either way, I cannot wait to commentate on it. So this one's called "What Actually Is Culture?" From louseaters.com. I'm not familiar with this channel, with anything like this. So let's have some dialogue about what actually is culture. Let's go.
Talk a bit about multiculturalism, and the reason why I want us to talk about it is because it's one of the main isms of late, and I have been excessively critical of about it, but I think that whenever we're
out the gate, I'm going to say it. Multiculturalism is bad. Sort of. There's a proper way to do multiculturalism. You bring in the good parts of a culture and you leave the bad, and you all assimilate. And I mean, this is what makes America, being a melting pot, traditionally so awesome. Because we could have things like Chinese food while also not putting Muslims in camps like the Chinese are actually doing. So you bring in only the good parts of your culture and you assimilate it and you make it part of American culture. So since they're talking about multiculturalism, that's my thoughts out the gate. Hey, Zach's the man who puts the man in Manitoba. How you doing, brother? Great stream last night. Had a blast. Thank you so much. Let's keep going.
We're talking about abstract concepts. We are very vague, and there always lies there the need for developing a conception of what we mean by when we're using an abstract term. The same is with diversity. So in circles that we both move, presumably diversity is a word that when is heard, we're supposed to go boo. But on the other hand, I think the most philosophically apt reaction to this is to basically ask, what do we mean? What is diversity? Diversity of what?
I think that's a very good question. Like what? Because diversity, clearly we know what it means to the left. Diversity means anyone that's not white, especially anyone that's not male. So, like, obviously we've talked about for years now, the diversity hierarchy. That being said, I end my shows the same way for a reason. The only real diversity is diversity of thoughts. We got folks coming in that agree, disagree. We had these conversations, these dialogues, and I think that is the only diversity that actually does matter. Because at the end of the day, I'm an individualist. I think a lot of you guys probably are as well. And the ultimate diversity is the diversity of the individual, because it does not matter if you have 10 white dudes in a fucking room together. That's still diversity, because they're all going to be diverse in what they grew up experiencing, the way they think, the way they form their opinions, the way they might solve problems. That is still diversity. So yeah, the diversity is not just something based on just visual immutable characteristics. Jeremy Hughes review, how you doing, brother man? I truly appreciate you for showing up.
And whether it's good or bad. So when it comes to multiculturalism, I think a really good idea is to just sit down from a philosophical perspective and start talking about it. Interrogate multiculturalism. And I want to ask you several questions about it. So what is multiculturalism? And most probably we will need to start by asking, what is a culture? Because multiculturalism essentially means many cultures. So what would you say a culture is?
So I take a fairly Wittgensteinian approach, if you will, to these questions, and meaning that I don't take one essential definition, but that basically a family of resemblances, to use his kind of language when we try to define something. Late Wittgenstein, anyway, as opposed to early Wittgenstein, who, as you know, was rejected by Wittgenstein himself. But anyway, my understanding of culture, and I think it's important to point out that the people who speak in favor of multiculturalism, they themselves usually have rather a poor understanding of what they mean by it, and it's just sort of...
I could not agree with this dude more. Like that statement right there, those that speak in favor of multiculturalism usually don't actually know what multiculturalism is, because if you're just like, hey, let's let in all these people of different races and let their cultures exist as is, there are going to be inherent clashes, because different cultures have very differing ideologies and belief systems from one another. I mean, you got proof of this with Israel and Palestine going on right now. Very different cultures, despite the fact that they're all kind of brown people. So, I think the dude hit the nail on the head. Also, Cinnamere Stalker's here. How you doing, Cinnamere? Thank you so much. And Slacker Alpaca for a 5-banger. Diversity of race will happen naturally if not focused on. Yes and no. So if you were a culture like here in America, where we welcome people of all different, types of races, so long as they are willing to, assimilate into our culture and our society, yes, that will happen. But the vast majority of cultures are largely homogenous. I mean, you ain't gonna find a whole lot of whether they be white people, black people, whatever, in Japan. Like, yes, obviously they exist, but I wager a bet, if I had to take a guess, 98% of Japan is Japanese people. In fact, hold on, let's Google that real quick. I'm interested. How much of Japan is Japanese? Oh shit, I was right. Hold on, I gotta share my screen. Japan's highly homogeneous population with approximately 98% of its residents identifying as ethnically Japanese. Your boy is on fire. We just starting to stream and I'm already batting 1,000. So the point is, yes, some cultures are going to be naturally homogenous because of the way they view other cultures, the way they view other, whether it be races or whatnot. But in general, yes, I think a lot of Western cultures are, like you say, Salaka, Alpaca. Diversity of race will happen naturally if it's not focused on. Yes, I couldn't agree more. All right, let's keep going with this.
Sort of a general.
Oh, I'm sorry, Salaka. I didn't give you a clip. I owe you a clip for the 5-banger. My apologies. Since we are talking about multiculturalism, I feel like this is.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Okay, there we go. Now, back to the show. Also, welcome, Deistic Pride.
Feeling that they have of what a society should look like, but they haven't crystallized it very clearly in their minds. Most of them, anyway, have not. But what we mean by a culture is a shared language, history, values, and also more external things like dress and cuisine and things like that. But it's important to note that, and this is a mistake that one sees both on the left and the right. The left tends to understand culture as something very superficial. The fact that
bingo, bango, bongo. Again, what I say earlier, for the last long while now, the left is focused on immutable characteristics. Oh, black culture. Well, what the fuck is black culture? You know how tired I get of hearing the term black culture? People in Zimbabwe probably got a little bit of different culture than motherfuckers in Harlem. Like, I don't know how different, but I'm gonna take a wild guess, a little bit different, despite the fact that both them motherfuckers black. Like, do you know how many different African countries and nations there are? Like, Africa is not a country, it's a continent. There's a whole lot of different countries within there with multiple different cultures. So yes, I again, the dude's hitting the nail on the head. There's literally I don't think he's said anything incorrect thus far, which makes it kind of hard to critique because I'm agreeing in full. Yasmin Adriana, how you doing? Appreciate you being here. The silly film reviewer, I don't know if I know you. This might be your first time. If not, I apologize. Thank you so much for coming. What do you think of Elon Musk wanting Sesame Street gone? I would have to know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, I haven't heard that. But that said, if you're a member and you're in the Discord, you can, if you've got either tweets or videos or whatever about it, drop it in the Discord. We can do reactions to it. But yes, this is the first time hearing of it.
In Asia, they'll use chopsticks as opposed to knife and fork over here, which of course is a part of a culture, but it's an extremely superficial part of a culture. Of course, culture is something that goes much deeper. If that's how you understand a culture in such a superficial way, then of course there should be no problem combining them. Similarly, on the right, it's not as grave a mistake, but it's still a mistake that you hear a lot on the right, where people say that, well, culture is simply a question of holding a certain set of beliefs. For example.
Well, I mean, culture is far more than just holding a certain set of beliefs, but that is a part of culture. I don't know that I've heard many people on the right argue this, but maybe they do, because that's when you're talking about cultural beliefs. Like, let's talk about, America when it was cool and shit. We all believed in, for example, innocent until proven guilty. Like, that's what at least should be a commonly held cultural belief of being American. But there's far more to American culture than just that. Muscle cars are, part of American culture. The 80s Hollywood action hero was part of American culture, and that's why Hollywood is a cultural export. For example, our TV, our movies, comic books, things to that effect. So it goes far beyond beliefs. But yes, I think the beliefs are a key part of it. But I don't know that I've heard many right-wingers only focus on the belief aspect, but I could be wrong. Yeah, Cinnamon Stalker, I almost said the cheeseburger, but I actually wasn't sure if the cheeseburger was truly invented in America, so I wasn't going to say shit. Like, for example, Hawaiian pizza was not invented in Hawaii. It was invented in Canada. And guess what? It's one of the only good goddamn things they've given us. Canada's given us Ryan Gosling and Canadian pizza. And you know what? I like Nickelback, and they gave us Nickelback. And I will not apologize for liking Nickelback. Blue Collar, how you doing, brother? Damn it, Leon, you should be gaming, you ass. Hey, I leave it up to the audience, to the viewers. They voted reactions, so we're doing reactions, brother.
Example, if we believe in democracy or in the equality of the sexes and so on, then we share a culture. And again, there is some truth in both of these conceptions, both on the left of, and on the right, but it's so much more than that. Being a part of a culture isn't just those things. It is also the shared history, for example. This is why you cannot simply say that, okay, I believe in secularism, and therefore I can now live in France and be a Frenchman, for example. It's much more than that. It's a shared language. It's a shared history.
Well, it depends on how far the history goes. Like, let's say that you as an American decide to up and move to France, and you live there for 10 years, and you eventually get your French citizenship, and you are fully embraced in the French culture, and you assimilate into that culture. Yeah, I don't think that I wouldn't have a problem, considering that person French. Like, if they consider themselves French and they actually assimilated to the culture, they've got 10 years of history with that culture because they moved there and because they actually embraced it. So yeah, I mean, so it depends on how far back the history goes. Again, people want to come here and Billy Idol, for example, my favorite musician of all time. I think he is a great example of this. He came to America in the 80s, and he lived in New York, and he wrote lots of songs about New York and about loving America. And there's so much American pride in Billy Idol's songs, which is wild because he was a Brit. And then in 2017, he applied for and was granted American citizenship. 2017, he'd been living here since 1984. Like, I don't give a fuck that he was born in the UK. Clearly, a large, if not majority of his life was spent in America and absorbing American culture. And yeah, I got no problem calling Billy Idol American, even if he is ethnically from the UK. French was probably a bad example because you're right. Who the fuck wants to become a Frenchman? Invincible sucks. It's just choo-choo TV with gore. I've never seen much of Invincible. I don't like the art style. Nickelback, San Quentin. San Quentin is a banger. Had to edit my video. Jesus Christ, Princess Mononoke in 4K. I'm actually a fucking master. I know. I don't even think that's the best Ghibli. In fact, hot take. I know. What a shock. Hot take from Leon. Princess Mononoke, for me, is on the lower end of Ghibli's films. I know everyone loves it, and it's a masterpiece of a film. It's a great film. There's never been a bad Ghibli film. I think Mononoke is one of the lower tier ones, and it's still a goddamn masterpiece.
It's a shared sense of identity. The idea that that we have been here for centuries, for millennia, even. And all of that is a part of culture. So we can't say that it's any one of those things. It's all of those things together. And if we say that,
yeah, see, he says a millennia, centuries. I disagree with that. I do not think you need that long to be. Maybe back in the day when information didn't travel at the speed of thought, but considering it does now, and the humans have rapidly evolved alongside the technology, no, I disagree with that sentiment on what culture is.
Isolate one of those aspects, then we haven't fully understood what a culture is. Now, I say that, of course, with a certain caveat. There are certain differences between Europe and the United States in this regard. Obviously, in the United States, we are more of a melting pot. It's a cliche, but of course it's true. I'm an immigrant to the United States myself. So obviously my ancestors have not been on this soil for millennia, not even centuries. But basically, in order to understand a culture, we at least have to understand that it's something that approaches that conception of it. And
okay, so I would be curious in finding out, does this guy consider himself American? He said he immigrated to America. He's talking. I'm glad he did make that distinction that America is different than the UK. But if you've come to this country, you immigrated here, you're talking about multiculturalism, you're doing some sort of work here. Did you apply for citizenship? Did you get it? I assume, look at all those books behind him. I imagine the guy probably has a fair understanding of American history. So if that be the case, then absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem calling this dude American as long as he is assimilated properly. Elon supports kids online safety act, which devastates freedom of expression online. Any sort of online censorship bill always has child or whatever in the title because it's an easy way to guilt trip and trick people into thinking, well, this is a good thing because we're protecting children. Like that's what was it? There was this bill back in like 2009. I don't remember the name of it. It was basically trying to break up ISPs and turn them into almost cable-like packages. And it was effectively the same thing. And when it got shot down, they brought it back, changed the name to have child safety in it.
And then in different parts of the world, you can find certain exceptions, and you would have to revise the understanding of it to a certain extent based on the particular circumstances that obtain in that place, in that time and place. But by and large, to understand what a culture is, we have to keep all of these conceptions in mind at the same time.
Excellent. So I think it's important to dwell on it a bit, because you're saying that a culture requires commonality.
Well, LMA, this is an interesting concept. How about we don't have kids on the freaking internet? Now, I go back and forth on this because, I'm a big proponent of freedom. I think that freedom is, again, libertarian, anarchist type. Kids are still humans, so obviously they should have a certain amount of freedom and autonomy. But by the same token, they should be protected and sheltered and brought up properly. It's a very interesting line to walk. Now, at the end of the day, no matter what the circumstances, I do not think it's up to the government to make that line, because the government shouldn't be making lines like that. I don't trust the government to do things like that. However, yes, I think we can objectively say kids on the internet is bad. At least in large part, at least maybe not the internet, because the internet is a collection of information, and that is the way of the world. That is the way the modern world. That's where all these information and resources are. Now, if we scale it down and say kids on social media, then I would agree with you. And even then, I don't think it's something that the government should legislate. Terms of service of the different social media companies should put it in there, and then obviously there's going to be ways to skirt that. Nothing is perfect. Rules are made to be broken, but there should definitely not be any sort of legislation on it, at least in my opinion. Parents need to do some goddamn parenting. I agree with this 100%. At the end of the day, it starts and ends in the home.
Of language and a shared history. What was I?
Yeah,
right. I think mentioning also Wittgenstein, but also the way of approaching language, I think it's also tied to a notion of a way of life within the context that you mentioned, but also it features in several ways, because people use the term culture in order to capture all sorts of different things. So, for instance, in ways that you could say, in some cases, the same culture counts as involving a host of cultures, or from another lens, it could just be one. It could just involve a dominant monoculture. But I think that, for instance, we could be talking about punk culture, road culture, rock and roll culture, all sorts of cultures. And
so those are, yes, cultures, some of them subcultures, but it doesn't mean the same thing, because in the philosophical context of culture, they're talking about the culture of people's living in a society together, and how it functions and moves forward and progresses. And they largely mean on a spiritual and political level, most often not. Like, yes, obviously you've got cholo culture, and you've got rock and roll culture, like he was saying, anime culture. We talk about my whole channel is based off nerd culture. We call it the nerdosphere. But even that's more of a catch-all term, as opposed to getting into the nitty-gritty of what it philosophically means.
Groups within a society that practice different ways of life, but also have some shared commonalities, and in virtue of those shared commonalities, they can function as a society. And from a perspective, they can be seen as multicultural, but not necessarily from another perspective. So I think if
you're asking if I've seen the Ghibli images, you mean? If you're responding, I released a video about that today. When the stream is over, watch it. You can get my opinion on it that way, because I would love to get that video's views up.
When we're talking about multiculturalism and culture, I think we need to discern between contexts, and the civilizational context, the political, the social, the countercultural, sometimes That sounds like an oxymoron, but I think that we can draw meaning out of it, because the reason I say this is because a lot of people who reject one form of multiculturalism in the domain of, for instance, of society at large, they think that automatically every form of multiculturalism may be wrong, and they want to occupy the perspective that everyone has to live in the same way, believe the same things. It's just
this guy seems like I could be misunderstanding what he's meaning, but it seems like he's confusing multiculturalism with isolationism, and they're not the same. You can actually be an isolationist nation and still be quote unquote multicultural. If tomorrow Donald Trump decided we're an isolationist nation, no more foreign aid, no more military overseas, whatever. It was basically the way that Japan was for so long. We would still be quote unquote multicultural in that because we're a melting pot of all these different cultures, we would still have this cultural blend of a bunch of different cultures. You could still go to Chinatown, and there's going to be Mexican portions of cities and whatnot. There's still going to be all these different pieces of our art. Like for example, The Matrix is a film that is an American production at the end of the day, but it was heavily influenced by Japanese manga and anime and Japanese art forms. So you could say that's The Matrix is an American film that's a culmination of multiculturalism. We will still always have that in our entertainment, the things that we create. So even if we again shut off all contact tomorrow, so yeah, I think that he's trying to confuse the people who dislike multiculturalism with people who are pro-isolationism. I have a cousin who thinks that people shouldn't be preparing Mexican cuisine at restaurants. Well, your cousin is fucking retarded then. Jay, unless he's Mexican, and even still he'd be retarded. Even more retarded, in fact. Jay Martin with a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. Let's see, what is the sticker? Let's take a look here. Look at that. It's that hippo with the Ash Ketchum hat backwards. My man. Thank you so much. We got to get you a Jay Martin clip. 100% right here. Let's give you a good old making the list.
Chip, you know what? You just made the list. Oh, no. Oh, here we go.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Thank you so much, Jake. I truly appreciate it. Senator Stalker. Pasta. I love pasta. I'm not Italian. As one of your left-wing viewers, I'm so sick of seeing people on the right who claim to be in favor of free speech no longer caring now GOP are in charge. I honestly, I've been complaining about the same thing, is that there's far too much advocacies for censorship coming from the right now that they're in charge. I've been, very consistent on this issue, but then again, I'm not a right winger. So yes, I agree with this statement 100%. You've got people, even in the gaming space, if we want to just talk about that little isolated pocket of, the sphere that we exist in, when you've got those dumb motherfuckers like John Della Rose or George Torch Gaming or whatnot, they're now being advocates for mass censorship in the gaming space. No different than what the Satanic Panic was doing in the 80s and early 90s. Yes, that is a massive problem. Free speech is ubiquitous. You should be you should care about it regardless of who's in control. You should have the same set of standards regardless of who's in control. Now, there are caveats, because while we do have free speech, there are limits to free speech in that, like, calls to violence, for example, are not protected speech. So there. Now, I think that the limits to protected speech should be as limited as possible. You want to limit you want everything to be as free as possible, but it makes sense that there are very few safeguards. And there's a difference between like illegal speech, things that can't be done, and something like hate speech, which in my opinion does not exist. But yes, at the end of the day, I completely agree. The way the right has been clamoring to censor shit now that they're in control, I find to be morally abhorrent and disgusting. They're turning into the very thing that they tried to claim they wanted to destroy it for so long, and now that it is sickening. Well, yes, you're right. Banning porn in school is not banning free speech. I don't know anybody making that argument. Like, I won't lie. I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone making the argument, on at least anyone on the right or whatever making that argument. I'm fully pro banning porn in schools. That is not free speech. So yeah, defamation isn't free speech. I mean, that's another one. That's true. Defamation isn't free speech. Let's see. But yeah, I agree that, he's asking for examples, but I mean, I gave examples. What George Torch and them are trying to do is they are trying to put a hard cultural, Christian right-wing extremist regime. And like John Del Rose has said it himself, he does not want a constitutional America. He wants a Christian regime in charge. He wants our laws and rules to be based on biblical text, and that is fucking disgusting. So do say it is all the time though, Boosh. It is 100% all the time. And if you don't see it, that means you might be part of the problem, because there is 100% a fascistic right wing that now the right is in power. Now it might be a small percentage. It might be 2, 3, 5%, wherever it may be, but it is there. And if we were going to spend so long calling out the left for doing it, the aspects of the right that do it also need to be called out. Yeah, Damon Carroll, I'm not sure what government yours is, but I guarantee you it fucking sucks. You want to know why? Because all governments suck.
A culture that has shared genetics and a shared origin.
What do you mean show you? I just gave an example. B, I made several videos on this. For example, when Florida schools banned manga, banned Assassination Classroom, which is a high school, banned a completely age-appropriate manga, and their reasoning was because the title could inspire school shooters. That is a blatant attack on free speech. And that happened in Florida and I believe Texas or Arizona, happened in another state as well. So yes, it's happened. I've made videos on it. Again, I've been wildly consistent in calling out the right when they do some dumb fuckery. So if you want examples, go to my back catalog. I've made several.
And it just is incredibly monolithic. And I think that this isn't the...
Okay, you say you've never heard Crowder or the Five or the G. We're not talking about them. I mean, no. I mean, it may have happened in Wisconsin as well, but guess what? Multiple schools in Florida. I fucking covered it. Go take a look at it. This is back in 2023, by the way. This is one of my older videos. So yes, maybe it happened in Wisconsin as well, which by the way proves my point. And like I said, even if it's just a small percentage, it is a problem no matter what. Yo, what up, my girl? Appreciate you. Yes, they did. Go watch the fucking video. If you want to argue with me, get your goddamn facts straight. It fucking happened in Florida. Now, has it been overturned since then? I don't know, but I covered it in 2023. It's one of my oldest videos. Yes, there was a Florida school that banned specifically the manga Assassination Classroom, and the reasoning was a high school student's mother took it to the school board and whatnot and said, oh, it's because the title could inspire school shooting. Now, maybe it happened in Wisconsin as well, and I missed that case. Great. That just adds to my point. The fact of the matter is, it shouldn't happen at all, regardless of where it was. And yes, do not like the stream.
The case, historically speaking. But on the other hand, there are enough problems for that to render particular forms of multiculturalism incredibly problematic.
What up?
Would you say that this makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with everything you just said. And that's also why in the very beginning, I rejected an essentialist understanding of culture, saying that we kind of have to take a somewhat more complex view of the phenomenon and look at how it plays out in at various times and places. And I especially your point about various types of subcultures, like the, whatever it was that you said, all these, in Germany, of course, they...
Yes, it is. 1% of right-wing people is enough to complain about, 100%, because if they are left unchecked and uncalled out by their own side, that 1% will eventually grow to 5, will eventually grow to 10. And that's why we got the left that took over in the extreme fashion they did, because the left was not keeping their own in check. And now you've got lefties who might disagree with cutting off the cocks of 12-year-old boys, but they can't come out and say it, or otherwise they'll be rejected by their own side. So they stayed silent. And that, what used to be an absolute minority, grew and grew and grew and put us in the position that we are in. So if we don't do the same thing to the right, 1%, 0.5%, whatever the fuck it is, that is a problem. So yes, 99% need to call out, even if it is this 1%, and you need to put them on blast and keep them in check and make sure that they are not accepted by the modern, what would be right wing, or the majority right wing, I should say.
Yeah, they attach the word cultura to everything, and so that's probably having lived many years in that country, that resonates a lot with me, because everything is a culture in the German language. Building culture and train station culture and so on. So that's certainly true. And as I also mentioned, for example, in the United States, obviously the situation is a bit different from Europe. and even within Europe, and of course this is what the left always loves to point out when they say, oh, people have immigrated back and forth over centuries. Of course, again, there is some truth to that, but of course that doesn't mean that it has been on anything approaching the same level as it is now, or that it justifies the kinds of levels that we see now. And so yes, there is of course part of, if we take a broader view of the West, of course, there is, of course, also an overarching Western culture, which means that immigration within the West, from one Western place to another Western place, is a change of culture. But in a broader sense, it is also in continuation of the same culture. I mean, when one
he's bringing up an interesting concept here. He's talking about, West within the West. So let's use Canada to America, for example. Canada, even though they are Western and they share many of the same core values as us on a broad scale compared to like people in the East or South Africa or whatever, there is still going to be a variance in culture. And for example, Canada has a far more liberal worldview just in general. And so if you were to have a mass migration of Canadians to America, that could 100% shift American culture. So even Western culture is very umbrella termish and very catch all, very broad. That's why you've got multiple subcultures within Western culture. I mean, I would find a mass migration of your considered average Canadian, or at least what the stereotype of the average Canadian is to America, to be a massive problem. I mean, again, I work in IT. I work with various companies all over the country, and I was talking to an Indian dude or some sort of brown. This happened yesterday, by the way. I was talking to an Indian dude, some sort of brown, who lived in Texas, and he was doing Ramadan. He's like, dude, it is like 100 degrees out. It is so hot, and I'm fasting, and this sucks because it's Ramadan. And I was like, I assumed because the dude was Indian, that he was in Texas and that he was, liberal or whatever. And so on a whim, I don't remember what it was, but I threw out a joke making fun of liberals. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, fuck that. We don't want any of these people from California coming to Texas. They're going to ruin that shit. And I was like, oh, this is a right-wing Muslim who's like rejects liberal sensibilities, and he's doing Ramadan, and he was just going in on California. I was like, yeah, places like California, Colorado, the whole nine. He's like, well, Colorado's fine because at least Colorado got legal weed. And it's like, oh, so this dude kind of picking and choosing from a buffet. I like that. Like, he was a cool dude to talk to. Also, La Vistro coming in with a 20 banger. All partisans should be called out. Dems, GOP, Libertarian, Socialist, Communist, right or left. It doesn't matter. Tribes and members are human, flawed, sometimes corrupted or corruptible. That is why I am nonpartisan. And more than sometimes corruptible. I mean, power corrupts and ultimate power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. But yes, I agree with this sentiment 100%. Yeah, but like just spitting straight facts. Let's see. Do I have a good clip for someone spitting facts like that? Yes, you know what? We got this one right here.
Harder, Leon, harder.
Now, thank you so much for this show. I do truly appreciate it.
travels, or one can go as a Westerner to another Western country where one has never been before and still recognize lots of things as a Westerner.
So yes, that's why I was actually talking about this dude, right-wing Muslim. He had very clearly assimilated into American culture. Like, I don't think you need to be Christian to be American. In fact, America has no national religion. We were founded on while our rules and morals and whatnot are biblically based, and while the Constitution is biblically based, we were also founded on freedom of religion to escape the persecution that was going on in the UK and broader Europe at large. So yeah, like, if a dude wants to be Muslim, then in America, go for it. We don't have a religion, for example, but you know what you got to do? You got to assimilate into our culture. If you're going to choose not to eat fucking bacon or whatever, by all means, that's your personal choice. But don't you for one goddamn second propose legislature that would like ban bacon. That is not assimilation. That is an overtaking. That is a coup d'etat, a cultural coup d'etat. I think liberals need to become more active in classical liberal values and not the left have been taken. Yes, 100% agree with this. I 100% agree with this. Real Christians will fight for your right to believe whatever you want. Bingo, bango, bongo. I agree with this 100%. Rick Costa. Hypnotic calls out everyone, even Melanie Matt. 100%. Hell, Hypnotic and I have called each other out before. Me and Hypnotic frequently disagree. Yeah. Death to America. Got it. No, again, radical Islam is very different than just like, hey, I'm going to practice Islam. Like for example, not every Muslim out there thinks the Sharia law should be enshrined in actual political doctrine, that they might practice that themselves in their circles or whatnot. But yes, no, it's the idea that Islam is, I mean, don't get me wrong, in my opinion, it's an inferior fucking religion. I'm a Christian. To me, all religions are inferior fucking religions because Christianity is tops. It's best. Islam is some hokey pokey Abrahamic bullshit that isn't real. But you know what? Whatever makes the brown folk happy. But no, I also do not agree with the idea of just throwing all Muslims against the wall and say, oh, you all believe the same thing. But it's amusing on the right wing Muslim means. Islam is a pedophile death cult. So is Catholicism. So is really fucking every single religion at the end of the day. Organized religion is, all organized religions are pedophile death cults. I think that the practice of religious doctrine should be personal, should be done with yourself or with a small community. But yes, no, I do not adhere to organized religion. When you've got motherfuckers like Joel Osteen, who runs these mega churches, who then doesn't let in the drowning masses during those massive floods. Sorry, I've got plenty of gripes with Christianity as well as a Christian. I do not think blanket statements that just cover large swaths of any one religion that could be easily attributed to another really do anything to help the situation. And yes, I organized religion often is a scam. The age of consent in Iraq and Afghanistan is 9. Right, but that the age of consent is set forth by the government for various. It's disgusting. It's abhorrent. Of course, I don't agree with that. But by the same token, to just assume that every Muslim, because Islam is the most predominant religion in the world, by the way. You got Muslims all over the fucking world. I don't know what the age of consent is in like certain African cultures, for example, but let's say the age of consent was 16 and it's a predominantly Muslim culture, then you can't really compare that to like Iraq, for example, because they're different. At the end of the day, that comes down to government and government using religion as part of its politics than it does just the religion itself. Also, I prefer the dragon clip, or at least Alexis Zella for spitting facts. Also, Joel Osteen isn't Christian. I don't think he is either. Also, thank you for another 5 Banger Livistro. Prefer a dragon clip. If you mean Dragon Ball, I've only got one Dragon Ball clip, but it sounds insulting. So you know what? I'm not saying this to you. I'll give you a Dragon Ball clip. Just note, I'm not saying this to you. This is to anybody who just espouses dumbass opinions. We'll say it like that.
That's stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Tell Bill Clinton that bad. Austin opened his churches to Harvey victims, just not blacks, because absolute power is a double-edged sword. It both has the power to corrupt and reveal the true face of the person who wields the power. Even a so-called moralistic person have a hidden darkness. Oh, 100%. 100%. I missed your earlier super chat. Hold on, which one? Oh shit! I didn't see it. You're right. I did miss this. I apologize, Livistro. Yeah, for a 10 banger. There are Buddhist GOP members, i.e., my ex. There are conservatives in the LP. Not sure what the LP is. My bad. I never assumed tribes are exclusive. For example, there were Christian socialist parties. There were Christian socialist parties. I might not know what LP is, but yes, there were Christian socialist parties. There's all those Christian churches that are like open to transing kids and whatnot that exist in these fucking far leftist cities. So yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And thank you for calling out that I missed that super chat. My bad, Livistro. Let's finish this out.
So that's also important to keep in mind
Party,
when it comes to multiculturalism. Maybe this is something we're gonna get into more, but the idea that these things can be combined, however, also comes from the fact that a lot of cultural manifestations have been watered down, and they can only be combined because they have been watered down. If a culture remains very strong in its self-confidence, then it is much more difficult to combine it with another culture, or with segments of another culture. So these are all things that have to be taken into consideration when we say, okay, can these things be combined or not? When we say that that two different religions, for example, can coexist, it's often because those religions themselves have been watered down and they are not anymore what they used to be. And that applies not just for religions. True. Yeah. For religions and also for many other manifestations of.
I'm glad you brought religion. We were literally just talking about that. 100%. Yeah, no, I agree with him. By the way, that many religions are not what they used to be now. Whether that's for better or for worse, it is hard to say because Many religions, back in the olden days, and many religions to this day are just used as political weapons. So again, the religions not being what they were back then, it might not necessarily be a bad thing, because if the restrictions have been lessened because they're not being used as political tools, and they are open into more opportune ways of interpretation, especially with a vast, a much larger understanding of the world around us and science and technology that has led us to know like how the world operates, for example. I don't necessarily know that that's a bad thing, so long as the core values, the basic tenets remain intact. Certainly on a non-political video. Well, interesting. Let's take a look at that. But yes, this was a great video. I liked it. I think who was it that put that in the chat? I think it was let's see. Jake Martin. Yeah, Jake. Excellent work on that one, man. Very, very great video. The best surstrumming challenge ever. This video this is my age video. You should still watch it even if off stream. Yeah, is this something that could engage conversation with chat, mind you? Something that would breed good, fun, interesting conversation? Because that's what I try to do on these reaction streams is use it as to have a dialogue with chat. Like, for example, me and Boost are having a great dialogue. I enjoyed it. I don't know if he's still watching or not. I don't know if I pissed him off, but like 100% enjoyed that. I thought that was fun. This is the sort of stuff I want to do. But so if not, then I would just watch that off on my own time. But warning, Sabenzo, I will be there. Okay, so we're still here. Awesome. It'll make everyone laugh, though. We might save it for a little bit later into the stream then. I am curious on this right here from Demon Carol, this Firefall, what went wrong. I know that Firefall has, like, some ties to the Grum stuff or whatever, but I don't know too much about it. So, yeah, no, we'll go ahead, take a look at this, see if we can glean anything interesting from it, and we'll go from there. One moment here. What went wrong? Firefall. Let's find out.
MMO plagued with poor decision making, strange marketing strategies that made absolutely no sense, a chaotic founder let go from his own company, and most importantly, a bus. I'm Wicked Wiz, being a man of my word and standing inside your fridge. This is what went wrong with Firefall, a promising sci-fi MMO that had a lot of people hyped, with great minds behind the project, which unfortunately met a terrible end. Before we start, I'd like to say a massive thanks to all the new and existing patrons. It's insane seeing this level of support, and I really appreciate it. Firefall is one of those rare gems in the MMO genre, or at least
Leon, I had new respect for Bill Maher. He said, I've always been liberal and left. I didn't change. You fuckers. Yeah, I love Bill Maher. I disagree with Bill Maher like 80% of the fucking time, especially on religion. I think he's an arrogant prick when it comes to religion. And I think that even the most basic of ninth grade philosophy classes would prove him wrong, but he would never accept that. He is far too up his own ass when it comes to it. That being said, I think that Bill Maher is a perfect example of somebody who has been 100% consistent in his beliefs, if not ill-informed at times or misinformed. He has at least been consistent. And yes, I very much enjoy watching Bill Maher, which again, you can enjoy listening to people that you disagree with or don't think are correct or whatnot, and taking in their point of view. I think that's what any rational person should be. So yeah, I respect the shit out of Bill Maher, even though I'm not a fan of his belief system. Again, solid 80% of the time. Hey, what up, Big Ship? How you doing, brother?
Least it was for a time before everything blew up. It had some pretty smooth mechanics and a very easy learning curve. You can switch between third or first person gameplay, shooting up aliens, picking between some pretty fun classes, and exploring the weird and wonderful world of future Brazil. What you'll find with
I've heard a lot of folks, because of the Grums controversies as of late, talk about this game, and this video makes it out to be like it was something that a lot of people are clamoring for and loved, and there's like this big history behind it. Clearly there is. It's an 18-minute video. I don't remember this. Like, I watched E3 every year. I've been a gamer my whole life. I don't remember. I've never heard of this. I don't remember this being a big talk of the town or whatnot. Like, does anybody remember this? Is it just me, or I don't know, like my least favorite 80s metal band. Give me a bit to think on that, because I love 80s hair metal, and I'm gonna give a bit of a controversy. Maybe like I want to say Guns N' Roses, but that's not. I don't hate Guns N' Roses. I just think Guns N' Roses was actually really, really hit or miss, and their '90s stuff, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, way better than their '80s stuff. I would love to say Winger, but like most people, I only know the one song. I only know 17. So yes, I mean, maybe what was that fucking Soviet band, Autograph or whatever? Like maybe them, but again, I only know a couple of their hits. Like now, I will tell you that unconventionally, my favorite 80s vocalist of all time. Not necessarily the whole band, because I mean, I love Twisted Sister. I also love Dee Snider's solo work. Dee Snider is my favorite 80s metal vocalist of all time. I think Dee Snider is a fucking wonder. And there's also a 90s hair metal band that they were just a little late to the party, so they didn't quite make it big when they should have, but they were awesome, called Hardline. And their lead singer, Johnny Gielli, is my favorite vocalist of all time, even more so than Dee Snider. But yeah, Dee Snider and Johnny Gielli would both probably be my like top 5 vocalists of all times. But yeah, Hardline never got the appreciation they deserved because they were just a bit too late to the party. I don't hate Van Halen. I actually really, really love Van Halen, but their early stuff in the late 70s is better than most of their 80s stuff. And then I don't like Sammy Hagar Van Halen. I like Sammy Hagar solo, but I do not like Van Hagar. Yeah, Running with the Devil is like one of the songs that inspired me to pick up a guitar. Oh, wow, you were there back in the closed beta? That's crazy. Let's see. I forgot it existed until this video. Good game, but they kept shifting focus where the game was headed. Yeah. Lionheart says he's never heard of this game. Not Hardline. I forgot even. Dude, Hardline is my favorite hair metal band. I also love the hair metal, glam metal days of Pantera. Like, fucking great.
This game is that there are many different versions that people reminisce about, but the final release is fairly traditional in an MMO sense. You do quests, get better gear, do PvE, PvP, and so on. The look and feel of the game had me sold back then, but more importantly, so did the gameplay. Every class
favorite level in Sonic Unleashed. The names of those levels are far less memorable than the vast majority of other Sonic games, but the one based in New York City was my favorite. There was also one that was based in like a tropical island or like the Congo or something. That was a really good one too.
Has a unique battle frame, which comes with the ability to use jump jets and retractable wings that allow you to traverse the highs and lows of this vibrant terrain, as well as allowing for more of a vertical style of combat. Of course,
I've thought about doing a QA stream, and the reason I have never done one is it seems kind of like narcissistic. Like it would just be, I don't know. I don't want to spend X amount of time just talking about myself or whatnot. I mean, if that's something that people would enjoy and they want to see, by all means, we can absolutely do something like that in the future. But yeah, I have had that thought. I was like, man, it just seems kind of narcissistic to do so. So yeah, I've never done it though. I have had the thought. Thank you. Sonic Unleashed, where I had combat stages. Hot take. I don't mind that they're a bit repetitive, but once you get like the Werehog upgrade and stuff, I think he's really fun to play. It's Baby's first Devil May Cry. I just wish the music wasn't so fucking repetitive, because it's a good song, but it's the same song in every single combat scenario. There should have been more music.
Of course, with this being an MMO, each class has their own special abilities and play style along with it, and there also seemed to be a good sense of customization. The game is
well, that explains why I didn't know about this game. It was an MMO. I was largely out of the MMO scene. They are time sucks. I get addicted to them. I've played a bunch of MMOs, mostly MMORPGs. Obviously started with RuneScape, played Perfect World for a while. Got into WoW a little bit, then dropped it, then got into it many years later, actually around the time I was starting this channel. But yeah, all in all, MMOs are time sucks, and so I didn't really follow MMO culture. I can't answer that. I just tried doing a Q&A stream yesterday and hardly anyone asked me anything, so we played Would You Rather instead. See, yeah, exactly. I don't know that there's enough. I mean, again, I'll happily answer questions, but I don't know if I should do a whole stream of it.
is pretty easy to learn and has quite an interesting story. There were these PvE zones that would seemingly pop up out of nowhere, where multiple random players can cooperate. And from what I remember, this gave the game some life, which also turned out to be a fun distraction between quests. There were also these thumpers that you could place down, which would give you minerals, but also attract enemies.
Early access?
PvP was
Like,
also
they
a
talk about
thing,
it's a
but
full
I
game.
can't really
I thought
tell
it
you all
never
too
came to
much about
fruition.
it from my own experience because the game's dead. So dead, in fact, that not even Josh Strife Hayes can play this on his second monitor and make a video about it. The servers are shut down, and giving any kind of solid review or sharing any first-hand experience would be impossible. But how? Why did this game die? What made Firefall fall? To answer that question, our story behind this game starts
Yo, look at Maze Wolf using the bingo bango bongos. I love the fact that people are using the new emotes. Awesome. Thank you so much, dude.
all the way back in 2005 with a small group of colleagues at Blizzard. Mark Kern, a team lead working on World of Warcraft at the time, along with co-founder William Petrus as the lead for art direction, and Tae Won Yun, who was responsible for
My least favorite genre, subgenre of metal. Whatever that, like, when emo transitioned into being quote unquote metal, but it wasn't really metal. It was emo music at its core, like musically, but they were screaming. I thought that shit was gay as fuck. Like, gay as fuck. I've come to sort of appreciate it more as a time capsule of what the music industry was doing at the time. Things like Asking Alexandria and whatnot. But when that genre first popped up, I hated it because I don't like emo music. I think emo killed punk, and it's not near as good. Real punk will always be superior to emo. Now, there are a few key emo bands and whatnot that I do like, that I do enjoy, and some songs and whatnot. But yeah, emo turned into weird metalcore meets screamo. Exactly. And so yeah, it's more as opposed to a subgenre. It's more of a time of music that I hated then, but I've come to kind of appreciate years later.
Seen the launch of WoW in Asia. All three came together to set up a company called Red 5 Studios, or we'll say Red 5 for short. After leaving Blizzard sometime in 2006, this self-funded venture was full steam ahead. The three founders hired several more people and eventually had up to about 20 employees. But if you know anything about MMOs, especially ones to this degree, not only do they require a lot of funding, but also a big team and top-tier talent to get the job done. With apparently 18.5 million from venture capital.
I like new metal. I've always liked new metal, but I also feel like new metal really wore out its welcome pretty fast because there was not enough diversity within the subgenre. Like Korn, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, you've got your big ones. But it's kind of like grunge to me. I don't particularly like grunge. There are just certain acts within grunge that I love. Like everyone fucking loves Chris Cornell. Everyone loves Soundgarden, or Audio Slave, and I'm right there with you. But yeah, in general, I don't like grunge. I fucking hate Nirvana. If you'd have asked me least favorite 90s band, I would have been like Nirvana, easy. I fucking hate Nirvana, bro. I've always hated Nirvana. Kurt Cobain was an overrated motherfucker. I may lose subs over this, but yo, straight up, fuck Nirvana. Fuck Kurt Cobain. Could not give a shit less that his wife murdered him, though I do believe his wife murdered him. There's no way he pulled that fucking trigger himself. But yeah, all in all, that would have been an answer for that. But yeah, new metal, the good acts are good, but as a whole, very generic, and there wasn't enough to sustain it. I don't know when this game it was being produced. I think it said while Mark Kern was still at Blizzard, so it would probably been around like 2008, 2009. Birthday Massacre, Walking with Strangers. No, I haven't, but I have a music request portion of the Discord. You can post stuff in there, absolutely. Mudvayne was good until album after Lost and Found. I only know Mudvayne's, I love it, but they're big, like their first big album. And I never really listened to much of them after that. Oh wow, other Nirvana haters, Based, T-Virus, 2012. Okay.
Capital firms, Benchmark Capital and Sierra Ventures, Red 5 will be on the hunt for more people to employ. Now, it might sound boring at first talking about recruitment, but after struggling with conventional recruitment methods, such as posting jobs on job boards and getting in touch with recruiters, the team at Red 5 came up with a pretty cool way to get people more interested in working on Firefall. Mark and his team decided to go ahead and headhunt about 250 potential candidates. And out of these 250 candidates, 100 were picked, with all of them receiving a really nice box of artwork, as well as an iPod Shuffle that had their name engraved on it, along with a...
I can already tell. I'm going to assume this game absolutely just flopped because based on this right here, because again, I don't know anything about this Firefall fiasco. I just know people have been talking about it lately because of the Grum stuff. They went way over budget. Like this is probably a case of over budget, didn't deliver on everything they promised, things like that. You gave 100 motherfuckers in 2012 iPod Nanos, expensive art, like personalized gifts and whatnot. I guarantee this is a bad spending big time. Okay, I'm seeing where this is going. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
message to ask the candidate to come and join the team. Mark even had a Chinese gong in the office that he would ring each time a candidate would get in touch with him. This campaign ended up costing about $50,000, which Mark said would be about the same price as hiring a full-time in-house recruiter. And it was a success, bringing in hires such as Scott Youngblood as the lead game designer, who had previously worked on games such as Siphon Filter, and Chris Whiteside as the executive producer, who in the past worked on Guild Wars. With the team ready to go, work on Firefall was on the way. However, a couple years later, the first setback would occur in April of 2009, as out of the blue, their office in Shanghai was announced to be closing, and did so in January of 2010, letting go of 30 employees. Although weirdly enough, this wasn't the darkest time for Red 5, as a Chinese company named The Nine offered $22 million for a majority share in the company, which Mark Kern happily accepted. With this, Red 5 were ready to show the world Firefall for the first time. In PAX 2010, they announced the game. A year later, in PAX 2011, they made the game available to play for people at the event. They then announced a closed beta on the 2nd of September 2011, and put on one hell of a show at PAX 2012, with actors dressed in...
It's kind of surprising, like all this stuff's happening at PAX, which I mean, to be fair, it does make sense. PAX, huge event, but I mean, you've got the guy for World of Warcraft. When World of Warcraft was at its apex, running this, you would think that this would be something that would be handled at E3, like the biggest of the biggest. I don't know. Maybe that's why I did. Again, not only was I not a big MMO guy, but I was far more invested, I think, like most people, in E3 than PAX. So yeah, that's interesting.
In battle frames, this dude being some Russian-sounding Chadosaurus Rex, going around bullying nerds. It's clear that they wanted to make noise about Firefall, because nobody really knew who Red 5 were, and
I don't give a fuck what people think about Mark Kern, Grums, or whatever. As we all know, I got some beefing issues with him, but in general, like, back in this time, bro, that was marketing like genius. I love shit because it wasn't just Firewall or whatever the game is called, Firewall that did stuff like this. All these companies did, bro. Like Crash Bandicoot was doing this shit. Call of Duty was doing this shit. Halo was doing this shit. Like, they were these big events, and the costumes and the booth babes and the alcohol and the stand-up jokes and whatnot from like these weird ass nerdy game devs. Like, it was just party on, dude, sort of thing. Gaming culture was just so fucking vibrant at the time. There was not that sterilization that we have now. So I probably, had I been knowledgeable about this at the time, would have loved what I was seeing, because I saw stuff like this for so many other games, and it was awesome.
Gain any success, they had to be known. Simply put, if you aim to become the main center of attention at a place like PAX, people are going to remember that experience. And this did prove to be successful. This actually raised a lot of awareness about the game itself and Red 5, but this as a marketing method, of course, makes sense. However, as we'll soon see, Mark Kern is a man of nonsensical extremes, with his marketing strategy going slightly off the deep end. Like in 2013, when they released 2 videos about Game of Thrones. I mean, they got positive reception, but what did this have to do with Firefall, besides the end screen? And this now removed music video called For the Win, which is about the apocalypse or something, featuring Weird Al.
I vaguely remember this. I do remember this music video. I had no idea that this was even tied to a fucking video game, though, at the time. I just thought it was a funny fucking YouTube video. I'll be damned.
Oh, I don't know. It's too cringy for me to get through, to even watch the full thing. I mean, seriously, their YouTube channel, now named Firefall, was actually a full-on high-production show.
Are you guys talking about Spence? Nah, dude, Spence is cool. He and I literally had, first of all, he calmed down during that stream. We had a great conversation. But afterwards, he and I kept talking and hanging out. And yeah, me and Spence talked all night after that. We've talked since then as well. Spence is chill. Spence is one of my best friends. Like, I love that dude to death. Like, for all y'all that watch my videos wouldn't exist without him. He's the head writer for Bounding Into Comics. I pretty much just ape his content and make it funnier by saying faggot. So, yeah, no. Spence is cool, man. Spence is chill. He was just a little buzzed, a little toasty like the rest of us were that night because, we all drink on Neon Leon, and then, and he's passionate. At the end of the day, I love passionate nerds. Like that is, whether fucking mic should have been turned down a bit. I agree. His mic was loud as hell. I did go in and turn his mic down, by the way. Y'all just couldn't fucking tell. But I did. I managed his mic throughout that whole thing, or at least I was trying to. But yeah, no. I would much rather Spence be a true blue, real passionate nerd than, a grifting poser.
Called Stage 5 TV that had Firefall related content, but also a lot of very random stuff too. It seemed like they were splooging money that could have otherwise gone towards development or, just raising awareness about the actual game. But this wasn't that bad compared to what now brings us on to the much hyped bus. The Firefall bus on the surface seems pretty cool. Mark even hired West Coast Customs, who previously worked on Pimp My Ride, to get the job done. It had a bunch of stations for people to play the beta via LAN. Apparently, it was also meant to increase in size with hydraulic.
Oh, dude, you should. Me and Spence go at it all the time. I love it because I truly appreciate a motherfucker that will go toe to toe in an argument, but then after the argument's done, you can get a beer with, and everything literally be water on the bridge, and that's Spence to a T. Yes, I also agree he was too heated. By the way, I do not think he conducted himself properly in the beginning of the debate. But again, I also love that shit. It's 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning, y'all drunk and you're arguing, you're just being fucking nerds. I love that shit. But I do agree he was too heated to begin with. And yeah, I wouldn't call it friendly fire or maybe I would, but actual friendly fire since he and I we're not just peers or mutual individuals that have this this thing in common, the culture war or whatever. We actually are friends. I'm sure that you guys have gotten into moments like that with your friends as well. So.
But anyway, according to an employee by the alias of Brutal Whimsy, they made a post on.
To be fair, he did sincerely apologize to Cinny as well. Cinny and Spence, I think, have only ever interacted once. He doesn't know Cinny like he knows me. I mean, I get that you're Cinny's super fan and whatnot, but she's an adult. She can handle herself. And it was just fine. That's how nerds be sometimes. I'm gonna be real. I was it uncalled for? Sure, but the apology was genuine, and it's all coming from a place of passion and lore. Shit, me and Cinny have gotten into multiple fights before. It happens when you're around people that are passionate.
On Reddit saying that this project cost about $3 million. Unfortunately, the bus customization was delayed, and some things that were originally agreed upon were missing from it. To make things worse, it actually missed out on all major conferences, not even being able to serve its main purpose. Now it just sits in a warehouse collecting dust.
What? So it didn't even show up to... How much did this cost? Did they say $15 million just for this, and it didn't even show up at the fucking functions? That is bananas.
And leaving the company with minus $3 million, probably more. And due to the issues with the bus, Red 5 didn't even pay the full amount, which I found out about on Mark's Twitter rant on the whole situation. This guy went full blast defending his decision, showing the whole world that he's quite defensive in the face of criticism. To be clear, this bus wasn't the worst idea ever, but the penalty for failure really didn't put Mark in a good position. With all this talk of Mark, you may be wondering what the rest of the company thinks about him. And according to multiple sources, things weren't all too great. Brutal Whimsy says this: he would swoop in one afternoon and berate
I heard him say 3 mil afterwards. I think he said 15 million about their total marketing, and I thought that was just a bust. That was my mistake. but he said three a few minutes later. So yes, even so, $3 million for a bus that couldn't even show up at the fucking events that was meant to promote is insane. No, it was 3 million. It was, I think he said 15 million in total marketing. That was my mistake.
Series of features several teams had spent months on, declaring they begin again and listen to what he had told them to do. He would be back in a few days to see if this was done. This crushed morale and forced people into spontaneous, isolated crunch mode. He would shout and scream his perspectives. He would ignore anything that didn't.
Now, this is not a defense of Grums, more so a just acknowledgement that this was not a Grums specific issue. This was kind of gaming culture all over the West up to this point. Like, there are stories after stories of lead developers acting exactly like Grums is here. So if it's common industry practice, you can, of course, denounce the practice and say things should be done better, things shouldn't be ran like that, whatever it may be. But I also want to, whether it's considered defending Grums or not, I don't care. I should just sort of notate that this was more prevalent in the gaming industry than just him.
Fit his immediate viewpoint, which was subject to sudden, violent changes. He would rage email people in the small hours of the night or on weekends. He would spout bile and vitriol to the point where he gave some employees, mostly his production crew, access to a safe...
Well, no, the Grum stuff lately is about a lot of other shit, but because of all the modern shit that has to do with him, people are drudging up this old shit as well, showing patterns of behavior and things of that effect. Now, I'm unfamiliar with nearly any of this, so this is me learning about it. But this is like the oldest information we have of Grums today, technically not being any different, even all the way back in like 2011 and whatnot. Now, true, we need to secure his game first. He seems like he's repeating history in a different fashion. Shit, repeating history. He is speed running the fucking poetry at rhyme shit from George Lucas. I've never seen, and I learned about it last night, and it was a fucking nothing burger. It's actually, I wasn't even really going to talk about it on stream because it is that much of a nothing burger. Like, if you want to go after Grums, fucking go for it. I've done it multiple goddamn times. But him having a career as a porn creator, like director and whatnot, it's a real fucking job. Like, it's I don't know, it's not any, like, a lot of y'all's favorite anime voice actors also voice hentai under under fake names because they don't want their real name attached to it, but they want the fucking paycheck. Like, that's actually really common in both Japanese and English voice acting. Is you've got famous actors or anime, voice acting vets that do hentai under fake names. So yeah, I'll be real. I could not care less about the Grums pornography stuff because it's literally a nothing burger. Yeah, it's like going after John the Problematic because he worked at a sex shop. There's far other reasons to go after him. Mainly the fact that he just tells that story over and over, which gets boring and annoying. Yeah, paycheck is a paycheck, exactly.
Word. This was in case he was being particularly verbally abusive. Someone could yell it out or email it to him and he would clam up. He had the misguided notion that he could write quality fiction and would force feed it to members of the writing team. He's fired people on the spot, berating and screaming at them publicly. He's thrown temper tantrums and objects around the office. Now, if that isn't a chaotic work environment, I don't.
Man, I used to be a loan, a loan officer giving out auto loans for a fucking car company, and I had a boss that would throw shit around the office. Like, again, I'm not justifying this behavior, but also, this isn't just a Grums thing, and people are gonna latch on to the name Grums because they hate him, and frankly, there's good reasons to do so. But again, things that lots of bosses do, especially actions that were prevalent in this time in the gaming industry in the West. I mean, to me, speaks to more of an industry issue than a Grums issue.
Know what is. But this was just one case. However, in another case of Mark's madness, someone says this: the CEO goes through spurts and can be there for only a few weeks at a time, then suddenly disappears. He tries to compensate by having open company meetings for anyone who would like to attend. But if he does not postpone or cancel, it is nothing but hearing his ideas and what books he read. Apparently, you don't have to do a bad job to get fired either, as another source says. The employees are fired not for messing up, but for offending the CEO. In fact, as long as you're in good standing with the CEO, your job will be protected. Most of the upper management, including
for a vet doctor who's like that, management leadership can be rough, expectations higher, so is the way to failure. Yeah, and again, that doesn't justify the actions, but it's a fact that they do happen. Like denying that this isn't common, or at least was common, I don't know if it still is because we've got like much stricter rules around this sort of shit, is just denying history and denying facts.
Especially the CEO, are often AWOL for lengthy periods of time, only to show up one day and announce a new strategy for the project, despite all the talk of an open culture. If you disagree with upper management or run afoul of the CEO, you can expect a short walk to the door. Work culture is extremely important. It's what supports and encourages the passion behind a game, or any other given project for that matter. Being told that you're doing everything wrong while not receiving any real guidance and being forced to work overtime to redo work because it wasn't what the CEO.
Leon, I played WoW for years. I admit when a new expansion would launch, showing up at midnight at GameStop with 100 fans is fun. Now I'm stuck making new friends with people like you. Dude, that's kind of amazing because like I get what you mean. Midnight releases were such a blast. I went to so many. I loved midnight releases. You would make new friends and you get their phone numbers, you call them on the fucking landline and shit. And that culture is gone in person, but we have sort of recreated that through the online space. And while it doesn't always have that same level of intimacy, there's still how many times are we just texting each other and talking and hanging, not on stream, or there's this sort of behind the scenes stuff that others don't see that do make these friendships genuine. And then we've got things like the Vegas meetup coming up where we're going to have that IRL camaraderie. And while it's not really a replacement for what we had back then when it comes to like the midnight release culture and the in-person gaming culture, it's nice to know that at least that sort of spirit still lives on.
Envisioned is enough to kill your drive and enthusiasm for the thing you're working on. This all sounds like a similar situation that I've had to deal with in the past. So from what's been said about the CEO, on some level I can honestly relate to what the guys at Red 5 had to deal with. It's like when somebody asks you for a cup of tea and tells you that they want sugar with it.
The last one I went to may have been, well, the last like one that was a big fucking deal, that was like a party, was Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was an extravagant midnight release. I did go to the midnight release for Dragon Ball FighterZ, and while it was not near the same level, it was still a lot of fun. I hate saying a line. Question Wizard 3 makes you deal with a bank bureaucracy. It was kind of funny.
With it. But then you get slammed for not reading their mind, that they wanted 1 sugar instead of 2, and that the milk they expected was full fat, not semi-skimmed. That was a pretty dumb analogy, but you get the point. Smash like for milk. A good example of sporadic changes at the time, especially with the direction and identity of the game, is that in 2012, Red 5 announced Firefall to support their own esports tournament, with up to 1 million in prize money, which was strange because at the time, the game was barely finished. There were a lot more things that they needed to focus on, but this seemed to be one of their main aspirations. It was announced for 2013, but nothing really came of it. And there was no more mention of this prize money. They actually decided to shut down PvP in the closed beta to rethink it. But with all this crazy stuff going on, eventually Mark's tirade would end as he was voted out of the company in December of 2013. Not much was known as to why, but I'm pretty sure we can have a good guess. This would now make the company founderless, as all other founders in fact left before him. With the founders gone, direction on the game of course changed with it, which would be seen in the official release on the 29th.
Oh, so it did get an official release. Oh shit! It was released on my fucking birthday. That's wild. Yeah, but just so you guys know, my birthday is July 29th. I didn't think this game ever even saw the light of day from the way that people talk about it. That's crazy. Never played MMORPG. No one to play with. Never had really. The good MMORPGs are the ones that you can play as if they're a solo game.
July 2014. The official release on Steam was met with fairly positive reviews, then mixed reviews, then negative later down the line. It was free to play, so people can just jump in and try the game out. However, just like any game that's just been
Very
launched,
funny.
there were numerous bugs
I
such as
think-
NPC.
I think 2014. So this game released on my 20th birthday. Yeah, I think July 29th, 2014. Yep, that would have been my 20th birthday.
He's not spawning in, meaning that you would have to
Hey,
log
happy
out and
birthday,
then log
Shrapnel.
back in again. Audio issues as well as objectives just not working. Not to mention that the player count was very low, especially when you consider the amount of hype behind the game. In August, it reached highs of over 13,000, but in the month
13,000 is pussy numbers for a game that they said, I believe earlier in the video, they said was 15 million. Like $15 million. And you got, by the way, I'm sure I think they said 50 million in marketing. So that doesn't actually cost, like call for the production and things like that. If you spent 15 million in marketing, you probably spent the same, if not more, on the actual development of the game. Bro, this is a catastrophe. Holy shit.
months to come, it slowly tapered off and barely anybody was playing the game. This
Hey,
could
what
be
a bad
due
day,
to
dude,
many
brother.
reasons. I think the identity crisis probably crushed this from the start, especially with a bunch of changes happening within the closed beta that set off a few red flags for already existing fans. Apparently, the 1.6 version of the game ruined the experience for a lot of people, and things didn't really get all too better after that. From what critical points people had about the game, it seemed that Red 5 was...
I mean, did it though? 15,000. Veilguard beat that by leaps and bounds. Fuck, even Assassin's Creed Shadows beat that by leaps and bounds. I don't know how much was what was Dustborn? Wasn't Dustborn like 8,000 or something? So it only beat Dustborn by 5,000.
was trying to please too many people and struggled to set in stone its true identity. Positive reviews about the game, on the other hand, seem to be more about the
Fair enough,
idea
David,
and the
fair enough.
FPS style of gameplay, with hope that the bugs will be fixed and more will be improved upon later down the line. To be clear, people didn't hate this game. The full release just seemed to be a bit of a letdown. However, as we already know, the future of this game was hanging on a thread, and 2015 would raise a lot of concern for the future of both Red 5 and Firefall. On the 26th of May 2015, Chris Whiteside made a statement in an interview saying that, "We've been through fire and we've grown close. These guys have bonded into a truly collaborative business, and our overall plan is to become the best online world-building studio in the..."
Biggest shrine in modern gaming, Anthem. I played 3-player co-op with 2 buddies for a solid month. The controls were perfect. God, I think that's the game that Atreus always talks about. Like, he was a big Anthem dude when it dropped, and he's got like the same sentiments you do, is that it was just a massively missed opportunity. I don't know much about Anthem, but yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Atreus is the dude to talk to you about that.
The business. We know what people remember from our checkered past, but we know we can prove we've
was it
come through
800,
the fire
90,000?
and controversy,
Oh, wow, maybe I
ready
misunderstood.
and raring. It's an inspiring speech indeed, but only a few months later, in November of 2015, Red 5 laid off 40 employees, including Chris Whiteside, and even more in December. Even worse, the remaining employees didn't receive a paycheck right before Christmas that year. The company made a
What?
statement to its
again,
employees.
these sorts of things, this is not isolated to just Red 9. Like, this is a thing that happens in a lot of startup companies, not just in the gaming industry, but startup companies in general are problems like this. But that's still, like, when you become that, when you have that reputation, wow, this is, I can't believe I didn't know this story at the time.
He's saying this: "I regret to inform you that Red 5 currently does not have the funds necessary to meet our payroll scheduled for today, Friday, December 25th. Due to this, there'll be no payroll paid this week. Red 5 and the 9, our parent company, is currently working to resolve this during the holidays as soon as possible. We are hopeful we'll be able to resolve this and will update the team immediately." Although payments for these employees did eventually come in, the layoffs only continued, as in July of 2016, the whole Red 5 development team, including the community manager, was fired with no official statement as to what's going to happen to...
Wow. So the 2 years after launch, the studio is effectively dissolved. Like, I get it might exist on paper, but they fired the whole team 2 years after the game came out, it's just that is like shit like that is common now. We talk about it all the time, but I don't know if that level of catastrophic failure of a studio was prevalent in like the 2015 era. That is bananas.
Firefall. However, the parent company, The Nine, did confirm that the servers would still be online. Only a year later, in July 2017, the servers finally shut down, leaving the remaining players who enjoyed the game for what it was left stuck on the login screen. It truly is a shame when a game that has promise shuts down, because regardless of critical opinion, people who invest their time and money are the ones who pay the price. If the company couldn't afford the servers, then fine, but it seems like there was nothing put in place to prevent any of this. But it was clear to the business shortly after launch that this game wasn't going to make much money. It does beg the question as to why some MMOs with barely any players online still have servers and Firefall doesn't, but that's a whole other topic. A lot of people share good memories of this game, and I remember having a lot of fun in the open beta. What went wrong was mainly the direction behind the scenes. Mark Kern, with his crazy marketing habits, but most importantly, his chaotic work ethic, funding unrelated projects that sort of gave exposure to Red 5, but didn't really give much to Firefall, when all that was really needed was just a solid plan and a clear vision as to what this game is going to become. I mean, things like the bus that cost a whole bunch of money but then just was put to waste is a perfect example of where the priorities were at, especially with Mark. The identity crisis of what Firefall was going to be, with moments like it becoming an esports PvP game and then doing a complete U-turn back into more of a traditional MMO. The game had a great concept at the start, but was plagued with sporadic decision-making, a work culture that claimed to inspire a skilled development team to do their job with trust in the individual's professional opinion and wisdom, but only to be crushed and forced into doing exactly what the CEO wanted as and when he changed his mind. When Mark was voted out of the company, more changes came with that. It seemed that even from the beginning, the company was a sinking ship. And even after Mark Kern was voted out of the company, things just didn't get any better. The company was still on its way down to the bottom of the sea. I can only assume that the work culture improved after he left, but it seems that the damage was already done, because it was only shortly after when they released the game. And once it was clear that the game wasn't really a big hit, the company closed up shop. All of these things, and probably more, is what went wrong with Firefall. Massive thanks for watching. I know the upload schedule has been a bit slow.
That was good. Let's let it play out. We've given him this much time. We'll let him play it out. He deserves it.
Low in the past couple of videos, and I have absolutely no idea what's going on with the algorithm. It's amazing to see that you guys enjoy this series so much, so there will be a lot more videos like this to come. I'd also like to say again another massive thanks to all the new and existing patrons. Like I said earlier, it's just blowing my mind. I'd also like to give a special shout out to the 5 Wicked Slayers: Chris, the FBI, Noah Heisman, I hope I said that right, Kex, and Negadan. Rare Alex, Enchanted Dreamer, and Basto 3456. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one, where I stand inside a Reddit mod's basement.
I was very unaware of that controversy. I knew that that Grums had ties to a game called Firefall, but I didn't know any of the information surrounding it. So yeah, that was well done. I'm very impressed with that video. Let's see. All right. Enzo dropped this. Comics matter with your boy Zach. We did it, boys. Anti-SJW fandom is homoerotic? What? All right, hold on a sec. Comics matter with your boy Zach. I feel like I've heard of your boy Zach, but I don't know if I've ever watched one of his videos or anything like that. I don't know anything about him. So also, man, no one uses the term SJW anymore. Like that's some fucking 2015 shit, bro. So when you make a title anti-SJW fandom's homoerotic, it seems like you're stuck in the past and don't really know what you're talking about. Also, what up, Thomas? How you doing? Yeah, let's give this a listen. Sure, by all means. This is Enzo requested this.
Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach. So I was gonna cover this
Whoa. This motherfucker got almost 100K subs, and his mic quality is worse than mine? Yo, what the fuck?
And then I was like, I kind of covered it with my last video. Well, I kind of described the same situation. And then I did a community post, but like something about this guy's video is pulling people out of the woodwork. People who I haven't talked to for years somehow saw this. And like I said, when you're trying to convince people, it's like it takes a while. And then finally they're like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like convincing people that Critical Drinker fakes reviews. Massive pushback when I started. Essentially common knowledge now. Even with people who like him, they're like, yeah, whatever. He fakes reviews. It doesn't matter. The movies are woke. The movies are terrible. So
what? Critical Drinker fakes reviews? What? Has anyone else heard of this? I've never once heard of this. Like I don't know how you could fake reviews when like he does plenty of live streams with plenty of knowledge about the films, proving he sees them. All right, interesting. This is Daleon, Dragonbound hurts my soul. Trailer's perfect. 4-player co-op with dragons. I went bankrupt. I remember Dragonbound. I remember vaguely. Yeah, the project never got off the ground, even though like it was like lauded and people loved the concept and the ideas. Your boy Zach was formerly known as Diversity in Comics. I feel like I know that name. He was one of the first dudes to criticize SJWs in comics. Now he criticizes YouTube reviewers. Interesting. Okay.
So I have been pushing back on the birthday party clowns, especially in this kind of like just this fake macho tough guy persona thing, especially when you counter that with
I've never heard of either.
Them
Korean.
crying about Disney princesses for a living and like when they lower their voice.
I've heard criticism of Drinker over like his short film that got put out. People said it was dog shit. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I never watched it. And people of course criticize Drinker and say that he's not a real reviewer because he's just another anti-woke or whatnot. I mean, the fact that Chad Stahelski, the director of John Wick, brought him up on Joe Rogan, I would say speaks volumes. According to Chad Stahelski, he is not the only one. A lot of Hollywood folk actually listen to Drinker's reviews. So sure, everybody gets criticism, but yeah, no, I've never heard of him faking reviews. He basically says he does live streams with people who've seen the movie. He hasn't, and a few days later comes out with his review using the points made by other people on open bar. I've literally never heard this criticism. I'm not liking the sound of this dude's voice. 100% sounds like a douche. I can't get over that fucking audio quality when you got 100K subs. Like, holy shit. And that sounds retarded. His production vids are interesting. It's not the same person I thought it was. This is a fake account. Oh, so wait, you're saying that the Luke Cage image on screen is a fake account? I'm not sure. Boy Zach was a major supporter of Furiosa, and when it flopped, he developed a massive hatred for Drinker and other people like him because he blamed them for Furiosa. No, all right. It's funny you mention this because, no, Furiosa flopped for a majority of reasons. And if I recall, I could be wrong, but if I recall, Drinker and them, at least Drinker, didn't even call the movie like woke or anything like that. He's like, bad acting, bad CGI, it's a movie that nobody was asking for. All these very common answers. And like I made a Furiosa video when the trailer dropped. I was like, yo, why are all these dumb motherfuckers calling Furiosa woke? There's no indication it's woke. It does look bad though, because like the CGI in that trailer was abominable. And so yeah, I was very annoyed at the quote unquote anti-woke folk automatically rushing to attack Fallout and Furiosa because woke because stars a woman, when that's not what woke means. But I don't recall Drinker doing that. Now I could be misremembering. But all right. Maybe fake reviews equals explaining entire films. Guys like Zach, I can't take seriously because all he does is cry woke and then praise Wicked. Again, Drinker praised Wicked. Wicked was good. Like, they always say that crap about reviewers they hate. Pinko. Yeah. Again, Furiosa was bad. It sucked by all means. I'm not here to defend Furiosa. I just don't agree with calling it woke. It's not woke, but it's not Mad Max. It's a spinoff of it. Yeah, exactly. Fury Road was gigantically overrated. Future Dirt Dystopia, but had characters Disney looking. It's also Hail Chat, Hail You Psychotic as well.
Voice knocked. Hey, Alpha Patriots. Snow White failed. We did it, boys. We did it, bros. A round of drinks at the Valhalla Lodge for all. Like, you guys are so far in the closet. You're in fucking Narnia. Like,
was that even funny? Like, how does that even qualify as a joke? That was so poorly executed. Who is this dude? Damn, I mean, this dude's insane.
Give me a fucking break. Oh my God, it's so funny. So Snow White came out and it failed or it underperformed. It's funny. I heard one of these inbred say, it's like, this movie's on track to lose $300 million. It's like, motherfucker. It didn't make $0 at the box office. Like, I think it's at like 90 internationally.
Oh my God, this dude, he has to be being a disingenuous fuck. He cannot be this dumb. Like, yes, a movie can lose $300 million, even if it makes $100 million at the box office, due to budget cuts for the theaters, marketing. Like, there is no way he doesn't know this. He is got to be being disingenuous.
So you can extrapolate it's gonna get like 200 something and it costs 300 something. So no, it's not going to lose everything they spent on it. They've just been doing
absolutely
this stupid thing. Just pull numbers out of their ass. I have this running joke I've been workshopping, and it's like
please be funny in your Valhalla joke.
No, just Pedro Pascal. They're obsessed with him, and they're like, he's in everything, and it's like, you're just.
Cornboy says they actually don't know how all this works. All right, you know what? Poll in the chat, guys. Time to do a poll in the chat. 1 sec. We're gonna find out. Give me one moment to set it up. Do they understand how box office number? I need an S there. Numbers. That's the wrong spot. Numbers work. Yes, they're disingenuous. I spelled that wrong. I spelled that very wrong. There we go. Or no, they're that dumb. All right, poll in the chat. Let's find out. We'll let it run to the end of the video. Do they actually do these folks that hate on the quote unquote anti-wokes actually, are they that retarded, or are they just being disingenuous? I'd put my money on disingenuous, but I can't vote in my own poll. So let's keep going.
Mad that he isn't in you. Like, that's let's be straightforward about the shit.
Hard agree, Lionheart.
So
hard agree.
One of these guys does a car video. I see the thumbnail, and I have an initial reaction. I was like, I know what this is going to be, but dude, then I was like,
we are 2.5 minutes into your video. Change the fucking image on the screen. What are you doing? This is supposed to be a video, not a goddamn audiobook. Like, give something, just add an effect, add a filter, change to other tweets, do something. People call me lazy. Like, I've had motherfuckers that, that are on that sort of woke train and whatnot. Like, if I remember right, McDizzle the other day said that I was a lazy content creator because I just shit out over 1,000 videos. And like, that's not, if anything, it shows that I've got like the work ethic. I do this nearly every night, record, edit, find the topics, the whole nine. But even so, like, my ass is being called lazy by motherfuckers like McDizzle. But this dude hasn't even gone so far as to change the animation or the lack of this static image on his screen 2.5 minutes in. Jesus Christ. This is insane.
Maybe this is like a bit different. Maybe this is like self-parody, or it's a little clickbaity. Like, no middle-aged man in his 40s is really going to do a victory lap because a Disney princess movie. No, it's exactly what you think. And the funny
no, that's the problem. It's exactly what they think. Middle-aged dude in their 40s. You want to know what's crazy? These middle-aged dudes in their 40s oftentimes have kids. I know that's probably crazy to these leftists and whatnot, but like, middle-aged dudes in their 40s like having kids, and they want to have good modern culture to share with their children. And when they don't get that, like that's a problem.
Thing is, again, I've been kind of, talking about this for months. Like, well, they're just fighting the wokies. They're doing what you used to do. And like everyone at once saw this and they're just like, oh, Jesus. Oh, God, this is a middle-aged man.
By the way, it's not victory lap for saying we told
some
you so. Yes.
IROC Z cruising down the interstate, lowering his voice an octave to celebrate
my favorite
a Disney
fan.
princess movie made for little girls and gay guys underperforming at the box office. And the funniest thing is, like, okay, so
but if you want to make a project for little girls and gay dudes, they can be great and successful. You want to know how we know? Because look at motherfucking Wednesday. Wednesday was a smash hit, and little girls and gay dudes love that shit. Guess what? So do a lot of these quote unquote like anti-woke people that this guy clearly has an issue with. Wednesday was fucking fun. It was cute. It was great. I liked Wednesday a lot. Was it perfect? No, it was like a 7 out of 10. But like Jenna Ortega is a great actress. It respected the lore of the Addams family. The production design was great. The acting was mostly good. All in all, the getting Luis Guzman as Gomez was great casting. Like, what are they talking about? This sort of thing can exist and be good, and we want it to be good because so we can celebrate this sort of thing. Like Snow White is a textbook example of intentionally fucking it up due to your own hubris and pride. When great things like this this is bananas, bro.
Even a sidebar, just other thing. So a couple of months ago, I saw, I forget if it was a TikTok or whatever. It said, fandom is homoerotic. And I heard that. I'm like, oh God, it's going to be one of those things. It's like the X-Men are always gay. This is always gay. Everything. But no, like they made a very good point.
Homie didn't even edit out his own cough.
That the entire point of the anti-SJW fandom is approval.
I am more offended at the quality of his video than the actual points he's making, because the points he's making, he's just parodying other talking points we've heard other individuals with far more talent say before. At least I could credit the talent that sometimes goes into making these pro woke against the anti woke whatever videos. Homie didn't even edit out his cough. He coughs in every video like he's dying or something. He's not one of the firm belief most of these YouTubers actually don't want things to improve since they profit on movies. Now, to be fair, I have made this argument. I think there is a subsect of the anti-woke movement that doesn't want to see improvement because otherwise their grip will be gone. I don't think that's the majority. I do think that's a minority of folk, but I do think it exists. However, it's going to be like that in any sort of commentary business or whatnot. You're going to want people, or you're going to have bad actors and snakes in the grass who exacerbate the problem. That way they can continue getting a paycheck. But call it the minority, or I mean the majority. No, I don't think so. This is again incredibly disingenuous.
Of other men. It's not necessarily that these guys hate women so much as they love men. Like they love them. I always remember this Charles Bronson quote where he's like, I love women so much. I love the little, thin hairs on their arms.
No way.
But that's how
that was the dude he made the comment for?
Party clowns feel about men. Like they don't literally want to be in sexual relations with them, but everything else is on the table. They are just the bee's knees. That's again, I've covered this before. One of the reasons they have such an antipathy, as Obama would say, to women is women are their competition. If your entire life revolves around male attention and you're a man, your number one rival is women. Because okay,
all right, hold on. We gotta address this. Straight dudes in the chat, chief among you, not actually gay, believe it or not. Yeah. Male attention is important because camaraderie amongst men. It breeds memories. It fosters, fosters working relationships. Also, men just operate on a different level than women for certain tasks or degrees, or even what they find enjoyment out of when it comes to hobbies and whatnot. Also, you should really only be vying for the attention of one woman, which should be your girlfriend, your fiance, your wife, whatever it may be. You vie for the attention of one woman, and then multiple men, because you ain't gonna be fucking your male friends unless you're a straight up fucking homo. No, you're going to be playing video games with your friends, or you're going to be, you know, if you're in a wartime situation and you're in the foxhole with your boys and you guys are keeping each other fucking alive, like male camaraderie is a thing that dates back throughout all of human history. Like there's obvious science behind all of this. This is insane levels of cope.
I got the vaginas and the titties and you know, the natural attraction between men and women that has led to 8 billion people on Earth. So they're a huge problem. If your whole, the funniest part, and I know,
yes, like
there's this big thing where people are God, what is that phrase? To be fair. It's like a devil's advocate thing. Everyone's saying to be fair all of a sudden. So I'm going to say something, and you're going to be fair it almost automatically because your brain is going to reject the ridiculousness of it. So at one point in this video, this freaking hayseed, he's like,
okay, are you going, at any point does he play the video or does he just describe it? Because I can't take what you're saying seriously, and there's no way I believe that you're criticizing this video in good faith if you do not share the video and we know what he actually says. And by the way, since you've been on this same screen, the same fucking tweet, which ironically enough, you've got like your interactions and stuff cut out of, for what, 5.5 minutes now, I do not believe for a moment that you're going to share the video. Oh my God, Enzo says no, he doesn't. Fucking hell.
Sorry if you can't hear me.
Expect me to torture
you know, over the roar of the V8. And you're like, oh, he was probably doing like a Tim Allen thing, like ironic, you know, like ironic take on masculinity. Nope, it was straightforward. He was just bragging about the V8 engine. Okay, just, I don't know how you're driving down the highway with that much sugar in your tank. Like, seriously. Anyway, getting back to it, like just this thing of, you know, contrasting like this very fake, overdone, cartoonish, but not cartoonish on purpose.
Did not like reading that.
Machismo with crying about Disney princesses. And some people, you know, they said, you know, this is more of just
the crazy part about this is that he keeps looping it back to crying about Disney princesses when that's actually like a minority of the things that are complained about are these princess films, because we don't get them super often. I mean, Little Mermaid, this, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and those are all like within a span of 10 years. And they're all bad for very similar reasons, which has to do with the fact that this is corporate assembly line slop, nostalgia bait, cash grab bullshit. And this is what you can say this for any of these other franchises that are being beaten to death that are not that are not female Disney princess stuff. You can say this about Star Trek and Star Wars and the Lord of the Rings and all these other what used to be and in some respects still are male-oriented franchises. I like, again, if you can't grasp the concept that people aren't crying over Disney princesses, they're crying over the cultural degradation of what used to be America's greatest cultural export, entertainment and art in film and other aspects as well, not just film, then you've lost the plot.
It's an Arrested Development things. Like, these guys never got out of elementary school. Girls are still yucky to them. And they want to impress, you know, their peers. So it's just like, yeah, I got sources, man. Snow White's gonna move like, and one of the things, I don't know. At one point, I had tears in my eyes. It was just so funny. I completely agree. Just like the macho voice. It's like, yeah, it's gonna lose $300 million, Alpha Patriots. That's even worse than Little Mermaid. I just like the transition.
Korean Cowboy, I'm right there
from like one closet case.
Cannot find a cohesive argument
conversation to another, and just realizing that there's this cohort of just
he's doing a caricature of Jeremy, but it's not even like the point of a caricature is to over exaggerate existing traits, and he's not even doing that properly because that's not how Jeremy talks. That's not how the critical drinker talks. It's not how Gary Neurotic talks. Like, if you're going to caricature these individuals or parody them, then there's got to be almost for one a reverence for their likeness, because you have to want to be doing it with with some semblance of adherence to who the person really is. But without that, it's not even a good joke. Whether you agree or disagree with somebody, it's not even a good joke. I believe Norm Macdonald was the one that said, if you were going to parody somebody, you have to respect that person, because only by respecting them are you going to be able to accentuate all the positives and negatives. If you're only accentuating the negatives, then you're not actually doing a successful parody, which in turn is an unsuccessful joke, because it doesn't actually land with the audience. This guy is this is mind numbing. Yet again, someone who doesn't get why there are arguments around current media unless it's something masculine. Worried about men so much they can't wait. They think they can't wait for June.
Men who they just fucking love other
right?
men.
Agreed.
Not,
Agreed,
not. I mean, everything except for the sexual aspect. They're actually gayer than gay men. Like, gay men don't love men as much as these guys do. So I don't know, just like it's doing even worse than Dumbo and Little Mermaid. It's like, you are supposedly a straight middle-aged man. Man, this is never a conversation. This doesn't come up for conversation. The men who work at Disney don't talk about Disney as much as you do.
No. Christopher Lloyd, wrong. Here's, and I'm going to correct you on this. The race swap of the Little Mermaid was just the tip of the iceberg. They could have given us a beautiful, naturally red-headed white woman, and that movie would still be garbage for all these same reasons. Aside from the race swap, it still would have the girl boss ending instead of Prince Eric saving her. It still would have the extra songs that lack the magic of the original Disney writing that are now modern pop slop. It still would have taken an 80 to 90 minute film and made it 2 hours. Like, all these cinematic abominations would have still existed, just with a white girl instead. The black girl, the race swap, was just the extra virtue signal cherry on the topping of the shit sundae.
It's fucking weird. And I'm going to take a little victory lap, because it is very, I don't know if it's satisfying so much as it's a relief. It's like, oh my God, I don't have to go through all that effort, Because my whole thing is...
I'm not, so I don't know if I've ever said I was opposed to True Blood, but if I have, I'm not actually opposed to True Blood. Aside from my aunt and granny really loved the books and TV show when I was in high school. And so, like, being a high school age boy, it's just inherent to want to push away all that, like, lovey-dovey romancy vampire crap, because, like, you're into comic books and superheroes and things like that. So yeah, no, I've never actually seen True Blood. I know nothing about it.
Whatever is a difficult thing to say at the time, I say it. I take all the slings and arrows, and then 5 years later, when it's safe to say, when it's approved to say, when it's encouraged to say, other people say what I said 5 years ago, and they say I've changed. So that's
clearly you have changed, because if they're saying it now, which, by the way, Jeremy and them were also saying this stuff 5 years ago. They were saying it more than that, because I was watching Geeks and Gamers back in like 2016, 2017, somewhere around then. So that's almost 10 years ago. But so Jeremy was saying what you're saying now, even though you're criticizing him, or he was saying then what he's saying now. He was saying what you were saying then as well. But yes, if they're still saying it and now you aren't, then you are the one that's changed. Like that's just objectively correct.
That's my cross to bear as the Cassandra of comics.
I know, stalker. I know
culture, but yeah, the anti-SJW fandom right now is homoerotic. It is all about and just some guy made a great point in a video about Hellraisers 2 and this fake outrage stirred up by that Grums guy. You don't have to support something to be a part of it. He's like, you can support fascism without literally being a fascist. You can support. So these guys, like,
yeah, dude. I was watching Jeremy back in, I believe, 2017. Because I remember the apartment that I lived in when I was watching him. I lived in that apartment in 2017. So yeah, it was like believe it or not, Geeks and Gamers existed before the Star Wars Luke titty milk situation occurred. I don't remember who all was part of the crew back then, aside from Jeremy and maybe Ryan Kinnell. But yeah, I was definitely at least watching Jeremy back then, 100%.
It's just
Jeremy wasn't the first. I was watching the OG quote-unquote anti-woke folks from back in like 2014, 2015. Chris Ray-Gun, some black guy. Back in the day, Mundane Matt, if anybody remembers who that is. Matt Jarbo. Armored Skeptic. Back when Sargon was far less right-wing than he is now. Not that there's anything wrong with his shift to more right-wing, but back when he was a legitimate classical liberal. Shoe on Head. I was watching the earliest Shoe on Head video. Like, Jeremy, Geeks and Gamers were actually a little bit late to the party for like that first generation of the anti-woke movement before it was called anti-woke, back when it actually was anti-SJW. But they came in like right at the tail end and sort of rode into this new second and third wave. I feel like we're in sort of a third wave of it. But yeah.
Male, it's like, we did it, bros. We did it. But the war's not over. There's a Holly Hobby movie in production.
Yeah, I started watching
Betsy
a lot of
Wetsy,
other
Strawberry Shortcake. She's never. You can never just get the stake through her heart, through her beating, strawberry-scented heart.
Eat well, Boosh.
I mean, it does bother me. Like, at one point, I definitely thought this YouTube thing was cool, and I thought it was leading to something.
Thanks, Leon, bro. Are you still watching that show? Do you think I still have episodes up to your blood on VHS? Marvel better not put Rachel is root. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm sorry. I'm gonna need you to be more specific. I don't know what show you're referring to. I don't know what you mean. Blood on VHS DVD. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna need you to be more specific.
And it's just turned into just a bunch of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Just
Rights were there. Yeah. Thank you.
Love men. Like, they love them.
Oh, nice.
Women are a problem. Women are a distraction. Those Jezebels. Those Jezebels with those roast beef pockets in their pants. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I agree. There's nothing to say, and this goes on for another 5 minutes. Enzo, I can't do it, man. I apologize, but fucking 14 minutes of this is just too much. There's nothing I can add that I haven't already said that would just destroy this guy's arguments. So it was fun while it lasted, but I think we're gonna have to cut out on this one. That was rough. That was rough. I so many viewers dropped out and whatnot. I saw the numbers go, and yeah, I don't want to subject you guys to this shit. So what else we got? But it's interesting. I'd never seen your boy Zach before. I had never heard of him, and now I have gained nothing from learning about him. Let's see. Yeah, brain rot, absolutely. What else is in the Discord? Let's you know what? I really liked this gal's last video we reacted to by her. Let's do another one of hers. She was a lot of fun. She was very interesting. She's, if I recall, a physicist. She's some German broad with a fucking hilarious sense of humor. So yeah, this is what Americans don't understand about Europe. Let's do this.
We've noticed an increasingly negative attitude of US Americans to Europeans, and the other way around. It makes me sad because I think there's much to admire in both America and Europe. So today I want to talk a little about what I think is going on and what we have in common and what not.
This is actually also a very good video to watch that's sort of an addition to the first video we watched today, where we were talking about multiculturalism, and they were drawing the distinctions between the West, Europe, and the West, the US, and the North America at large. Hondo is on the chair behind me. He's back here. He hopped off my shoulder, but he's still here. But yeah, let's go.
Of the US-European kerfuffle is friendly, and you find it in memes like "the European mind can't comprehend this," posted by Americans, featuring SUVs, highway junctions, or oversized meals and drinks. In return, we have the retaliation. The American mind can't comprehend this, with the metric system, walls of public bathroom stalls that have gaps at the bottom, and garbage separation. Speaking of garbage, in case you missed it, 2 months ago, New York City introduced garbage bins. My European mind can't comprehend this. Of course, the American-European rub isn't a new thing. Georges Clemenceau, who was Prime Minister of France more than a century ago, said, "America is the only..."
Shrapnel says, who is this lady? I don't know. We reacted to one of her videos on the last reaction stream. She's a physicist, if I recall. And she's, by the way, she's very fucking knowledgeable. Like, I don't remember the exact video of hers we watched. It was, oh yeah, yes, it was a video going off on Big Pharma, and she was explaining how she was basically exposing all the lies of the political and financial ways that Big Pharma operates. And it was base as fuck. She was hilarious. She was serious when she needed to be, 90% of the video, but every now and again, she'd get this fucking German zinger in there. Sabine Hosenfelder. Thank you. Appreciate you, EB. I've only seen that one video over that reacted to on the last reaction stream, and it was awesome. That's why I wanted to do the second one since someone else brought it up. I think Jake did.
Nation in history which miraculously has gone directly from barbarism to degeneration without the usual interval of civilization. According to the Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw, the 100% American is 99% idiot. And Winston Churchill allegedly said that Americans can always be trusted to do the right thing once all other possibilities have been exhausted.
Big talk from the to the folks that needed to come bail your ass out of getting just bent the fuck over by Hitler. Fucking Churchill. God damn.
Americans haven't been any friendlier to Europeans. The American comedian Jackie Mason quipped that England is the only country in the world where the food is more dangerous than the sex.
I mean, both is good. Both is good.
Midler declared that when it's 3 o'clock in New York, it's still 1938 in London. The American author and journalist P.J. O'Rourke said that you can always reason with a German. You can always reason with a barnyard animal too, for all the good it does.
Now, O'Rourke ain't necessarily wrong. Like, I've met some fucking Germans in my life. I mean, some actual, like Germans. They're fucking unreasonable. I mean, so are Canadians and so are French people. But, like, I feel like Germans might not actually be unreasonable. They just always sound unreasonable. Like, they could be telling you in perfect, well, not perfect English, because they still have that fucking terrifying accent. Have a lovely day. I idolize you. You are my hero. Take these flowers. And it will come across with the intensity of, and when I'm done talking to you nicely, I'm going to go rape your mom. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, calm down.
All good fun. But we also have many Europeans who think Americans are just stupid to accept living in the conditions that they do. That judgment has become especially pronounced since the first Trump presidency. And I'm laughing at Trump supporters. People that stupid shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's a quote from a young Dutch person. I can tell you from my own experience that among the Europeans I know, this attitude is extremely common. You don't have to take my word for it, because by the blessing that's YouTube, we have footage of a young American who asked Europeans what they think of Americans.
Now, before she gets into this, I do want to state, though, that all these European countries, they might not like how, Americans conduct themselves in their own country or whatever. However, a few years ago, I believe it was United Nations polling data came out. It was some large organization, may not have been United Nations, but it was something like that. And overwhelmingly, the favorited tourists of all these countries, not just European countries, by the way, Asian countries, things of that effect, were Americans, cited as being the most polite, most respectful, and biggest spenders. So they're very happy to take our money. And it seems like when we were visiting their countries, barring jackasses like Johnny Somali, Americans are actually largely appreciated as tourists. Again, based on this study from a few years ago. So, there might be people that hold these sentiments as individuals, but by and large, that doesn't actually seem to be the case for the actual data when we track it. True, gifting to memberships on his own stream. Don't know who. Oh, yeah, dude, Zax is the fucking best. Yeah, Zax is incredible. Speak of the man. They can all find America on a map, so at least you matter. I mean, Zach's got a fucking point. I'm in a Discord with tons of UK and Europe people. A lot of them said they want and need Trump. Yeah, I hear that sentiment all the time. And frankly, I have a lot of European viewers. There's a lot of European. I think there's several of you in the chat right now. I have a lot of you guys in my Discord. A lot of folks adore Trump. Like, this doesn't seem to be a common, or at least the main European sentiment. It just seems to be the European sentiment that's being amplified because it fits a narrative. Not only that, if she's about to show us a video of an individual going around asking Europeans what they think of Americans, well, those sorts of videos are so easy to fake. Like, there's this one really hilarious video of this white dude or this Asian dude showing black people a map of Africa and saying to name 3 countries. The majority of them can't fucking do it. It is sad. Some of them actually even say Wakanda. Then they have white and Asian people find countries on the map, and they're able to do it. Now, is this video funny? Yes. But how many people do they actually ask versus what were the portion that were put in the video to make this funny and to make it, honestly push a narrative? So I'm sorry. I don't know if she's going to agree with the sentiment or whatnot, but I'm just drawing to explain. I'm not convinced by videos like these.
Are you also German?
Yes, I am.
And in Germany, you feel like German people have a positive view of Americans?
Oh, I've seen this video. This video is retarded. I mean, I haven't seen like the Sabine one, but like the video she's showing right now, I've seen this whole thing. We may have gone over this video on a different stream or on a stream I was on. Either way, this is retarded.
Or
not really?
No. Okay, so more negative.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you feel that there's been a change at all in terms of how Americans are viewed, like in the last 10, 15 years?
I think so, yes. Especially due to the Trump and the Tea Party things happening. It got more polarized, and that made it more negative, in my view.
This is from before the recent US election, but I don't think the situation has much improved since. In return, many Americans likewise think Europeans are stupid to accept living in the conditions that they do. An opinion that seems to be mostly based on the economic superiority of the United States, or the higher income you can make in some professions, or the high taxes we pay in Europe. I encounter this attitude on X, Twitter, all the time. The reason this makes me unhappy is that,
I mean, I hold these sentiments, at least about European governments, not necessarily the people. I don't know too many European people, and frankly, the ones that I do know, the ones that a lot of you guys are in these streams or the Discords and things to that effect, largely agree with how America does these things. So when we do have our gripes with Europe, it's not usually with the peoples of Europe. It's with the way your governments run and the way your politicians are, which, to be fair, we have many of those same gripes about our own governments and politicians. I feel like that's important to notate.
it presumes people in other countries must share our values. I've lived for some years in the United States, and I believe that Americans just have different values than Europeans.
Different is a very interesting way to pronounce better, because we do. I'm sorry, we do have better values than the fucking Europeans. And as much as I love all y'all and my European viewers and whatnot, there's a reason a lot of y'all motherfuckers wanted to come to America and did immigrate to America. And there's a reason that my family, the part that's not Native American at least, immigrated to America. We have a better set of values, at least when true original American values are the ones we're talking about. Now, there's a large contingent of people in America that actually want to transition to the more European style values. And yeah, that would be bad because they're worse. I'm sorry. You guys don't have, or at least legislature wise, politically, don't have the values like free speech or, goddamn, the right to bear arms in many instances, when these are sacred and only serve as a benefit to the individual, which, like I said at the beginning of the stream, is the ultimate minority. Now, I don't think it's fair to call people in Europe countries European, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Anglo-Saxon, Portuguese. I don't think it's fair to call people in European countries European. Wait. There should be like a comma or a period there. I don't think it's fair to call people in European countries European. Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Anglo, but they are all European. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying all European governments are the same, by the way. Clearly they're not. There's variances between the countries and the governments. However, what I'm saying is it doesn't matter where you are in Europe. Value-wise, all of them are lacking behind America, because America just has better fucking values.
We each have a different idea of what makes for a good life, and it makes no sense that we try to impose our values on each other. Have a look at this podium disc.
Well, it does make sense. This is why we try and impose our values on other, because each side thinks their values are better. The Europeans are wrong about this, by the way, because again, if you don't have the value of free speech or the right to bear arms, for example, then your values are worse. It's like Kyle Rittenhouse didn't go to prison for life. In fact, he got off because it was very obviously a self-defense case. That shit happened in Europe. Homie in prison for fucking life. America won. All of Europe 0.
Discussion. Can you spot the American among the Swedes? Somewhat more seriously, many Americans, for example, think of freedom as individual autonomy, guns being left alone by the government, and
it is. I mean, that's what freedom is.
Being able to say what they want without limitations. This is why there's...
It's not without limitations, because there can be limitations. It's just that there's no governmental limitations. Like, you cannot be prosecuted. You cannot be held to a crime for what you say. Now, you can't just say what you want with no limitations. You walk into your boss tomorrow and say, "Fuck you, boss," your ass getting fired. So there's limitations on speech, but it's not set forth by the government. So yeah.
Skeptical of the idea to make health insurance mandatory, don't think much of social welfare programs, and constantly complain about censorship. They've grown up learning that if you
can go to jail for calling someone a bad word, you can't say you have better values. Bingo, bango, bongos. See, brew? Exactly.
Be successful, you need to take risks. They've grown up learning that failure is a normal part of life and an opportunity to learn. They've grown up learning to value independence. Europeans, on the other hand, are more likely to associate freedom with social security.
That is the opposite of freedom, though, because that is being granted to you by a controlling governmental apparatus, and the more control, the less free. So while Europeans may associate that with freedom, they are objectively wrong.
They want to be free to pursue their interests without having to worry about, say, being indebted for the rest of their life because they wanted to study physics.
Okay, being free to pursue your own interest is not... That's not what freedom is in the colloquial sense of individual rights. And when Americans talk about freedom, that's what we were talking about, is individual rights. Again, the individual being superseding the majority. The whole... If it boils down to what's the old adage? It is better that one innocent that 100 guilty men walk free than one innocent man go to prison. Now, obviously, that's not how it actually works, but in theory, like, that is an American value, the innocent until proven guilty, and that is because that we believe in freedom that much, that the individual rights and freedoms of the singular person, that it is better to let 100 guilty men go free than one innocent man go to prison. That is freedom, and frankly, again, this is why I don't align with the right or the left, because both are controlling bodies, and this is why your boy is an anarchist, because ultimate freedom is anarchy.
Having to ask for donations to pay their cancer treatment or getting shot at the mall. In Europe, we tend to see universal healthcare, tuition-free education, and unemployment benefits as the basis of individual liberty.
But it's not individual liberty because it's controlled by the government, and because you are being forced to participate in it. You do not have the choice to not participate. Now, again, America ain't fucking perfect, because there's a lot of shit we don't have the choice in. For example, taxes. Taxation is theft. All taxation is theft. Fuck taxes. They should not be a thing. They shouldn't exist. Fuck them. Just throwing it out there. I don't give a good goddamn what anyone thinks. Fuck any and all taxation. It is theft. We're not being represented anyway, and it's supposed to be, if you have taxes, no taxation without representation. There's never representation, so there should be no taxation. But that's, again, neither here nor there. The point is, by and large, compared to Europe, America and individuals in America have the freedom to not be forced to participate in these government-based activities. And so, yeah, this is... woman is brilliant. I love the other video by her. And clearly she's a smart woman. She's a fucking physicist. But she is inherently incorrect here on how freedom is being used colloquially.
We accept higher taxes and regulations as protections from systemic risks like poverty or illness, and most of us agree that one person's free speech ends when it endangers another person's safety or dignity. We've grown up learning that bad
minus calls for violence, no speech ever endangers someone's safety. Ever. Speech is not a physical thing. Speech is amorphous. I will never accept, again, unless it is an actual call to violence, I will never accept the notion that speech can put somebody in physical danger.
Fortune can hit anyone. We've grown up learning that we're stronger together. We've grown up learning to think before acting. Yes, these are terrible stereotypes, and I apologize profoundly to all Americans and Europeans who feel misrepresented, which will be all of you, I guess, because I think we all have some sympathy for.
No, I don't think she misrepresented Americans or Europeans whatsoever. I actually think she hit the nail on the head with the differences between Americans and Europeans. What she misrepresented was the concept of freedom itself, not how Americans think of freedom and how Europeans think of freedom, but of what freedom actually is. And she probably misrepresented that unknowingly because she is European.
Both perspectives, like just among you and I agree that our taxes are too high. But by my own experience, I think that on average, these stereotypes are largely true. I believe that our different values go back to our different historical trajectories. The USA was built by rebels who fled from tyranny. Then they ended up in the awkward situation of needing a government for people who don't want to be governed. That's basically still the situation today. Europe, on the other hand, had kings and monarchs for millennia and then saw the emergence of a strong labor movement, which only grew stronger after the First and Second World War. This is why we have such strong labor unions, which prevent a lot of the financial exploitation that's possible in the United States.
So the financial exploitation is possible in the United States, yes, but the citizens have the freedom to not participate in it. If you do not like being financially exploited, go the fuck elsewhere. You've got the freedom to do so. I find unions to be abhorrent, abusive, and a complete deconstruction of what it means, to be freedom. They are restricting of freedom. So again, if it's working out for in Europe, I guess sure, go for it. But Europe ain't exactly in a good spot right now from everything I've been seeing and hearing.
And these fundamental differences reflect in the way that we deal with business developments. Americans tend to think that Europe's overregulated and slow and too risk-averse. They're right. And Europeans tend to think that in the United States, rich people make the poor poorer by burning money in overly risky investments. They're also right.
Okay. The rich people making poor people poorer, though, is yes, that's a bad thing in terms of it sucks when the poor become poorer. But so much of that is not due to billionaires and their overly risky investments. It is all the red tape and regulation put in forth by a government that shouldn't be doing that causes things to be so much more expensive. When you need to take out extra insurance, things to that effect. Like this is most of what she just laid out as a problem from the American side. I would agree with her, is a problem, but it's a problem manufactured by the government by actually not allowing freedom, by restricting freedom. So she's both right and wrong. If I use a flat iron, Leon will call me gay. I straighten my hair all the time.
Good way to see how these cultural differences result in economic differences is this graph. It compares labor productivity in the EU with that in the US. You can see that the productivity per capita in the EU has grown far less in the past decades, and I understand that Americans are proud of their achievement. But if you dig into the details, the
unions were extremely important, not so much now. Yes, that's really hard to. It's kind of like saying that slavery was really important, not so much now. Like, objectively, yeah, slavery was massively important to the growing economy of the United States when we first became an actual unified country. That doesn't mean that it ever should have been there to begin with. So, like, while unions may have been important, it never needed to be there. But once it was there, it was inescapable. And they wonder why, like, Trump based.
The reason for the discrepancy is that Europeans on average work fewer hours. You can see this if you normalize this productivity by the number of hours worked, then the curves look almost identical. What does this mean? I think it means that Europeans...
What it means, I can tell y'all what it means. It means that the Europe and the United States are equally outsourcing all their jobs to fucking China.
Don't care a lot about the GPU. At least I don't.
Actually, Mage Wolf, I probably smell like Egyptian musk because that's the incense I'm burning. As you can so gloriously see right here.
If an American comes to me boasting about how high the US GPT is, or how many billionaires are Americans, or how many big companies are owned by Americans, all I can say is,
no.
Well, and what do you get out of it? Are you happy that you made the rich people even richer?
I mean, I'll tell you what I get out of it. As somebody that works for a very large corporation in their corporate office, yes, I might not be a CEO and I might not be rich or anything like that, but I've got very good stock options, and frankly, I'm very invested in the stock market. I've got the opportunity to make, to do YouTube and make this sort of income with very little restrictions governmentally, minus paying taxes on it. I have the opportunity, like, it's when the rich get richer, when there's less red tape from the government, when there's less regulations, the poor get richer as well. You have a rise in your economics. I mean, that's very basic Thomas Sowell shit. So yeah, the rich getting richer under the proper circumstances means that everyone can get richer, not just the rich. When Trump was in office the first time back in 2016, I was making less dollar-wise than I am now. Like my hourly rate was lower. However, how far that money would go, it went much further, even with a lower hourly wage, than in, let's say, year 2 and 3 of Biden's presidency, when by that time I was probably making about $4 more an hour, which is quite a jump. But the money actually wasn't going as far because due to all the extra governmental red tape, shit got so expensive. Inflation. So yeah, no, this is again, not to say the fucking right is perfect on this sort of stuff, not by a long shot. However, again, libertarian, I'm more of a no regulation sort of dude.
The answer is yes. That's fine with me, and I respect that. But it's not a system that I would feel comfortable in, and I hope that you can respect that too. And that basically...
But I can't respect that, and I can't respect the idea of someone saying, hey, our system is worse. We've not objectively thought about why it's worse or critically thought about why it's worse, but respect us for having a worse system. And just let's both go back. Like no, you should want a better system. You should want, and frankly, in America, we should also want a better system. Like then, which is why, by and large, Trump got reelected. It's not just because there's so many Mexicans at the border and whatnot. It's because people were just distraught over the economy. It's shit. And their big hope is that's the main thing that Trump fixes is the economy. No fucking leftist is going to fix that. No Democrat is going to fix that. Talk about whatever other policies you want, but when it comes down to financials, fiscal conservatives, financial conservatism is always better than financial leftism.
Is the message of this video. I wish that we all had more respect for how people in other cultures choose to live their lives. Americans aren't stupid because they voted for Trump, and Europeans aren't stupid because they pay high taxes. We just do things differently.
But different doesn't mean equal. I have a problem with it. She's equating different to equal when they're not. Europeans are stupid for paying high taxes, but it's more they're stupid for believing this lie that high taxes equate to freedom. And that's what she laid out earlier, is that paying these high taxes, they equate that to having the freedom to live their lives XYZ, when that anything out of your control means that it is without freedom. And in fact, you were putting the control in the hands of elites that often aren't voted upon in Europe, to my knowledge. So yes, no, like you're right, things are different, but one is worse. One is a worse system because it is inherently less free. The majority of EU elitists is pressed upon professional society of EU, pompous, arrogant ignorance. I refuse to listen to a country that has a massive problem with immigration that has led them to taking over their country. Unfortunately, you can almost levy that claim at America as well, thanks to the Biden administration. Our rebellious origins as Americans is very different than the rest of the world. I've made the same argument that the rebellious spirit of America is why we are just in such, like why we have this sort of fantastic, great experiment in individual freedom. It's something that I do not think exists anywhere else in the world. And I've said multiple times in various live streams, videos, things like that, as time goes on and as we get more and more comfortable, I'm worried about that rebellious spirit of the American and of America as a whole dwindling, and that will lead us down a road to make us more like Europe. I mean, how many stories are there of the 17-year-old kid that drops out of school and then grows up and turns out he becomes Tom fucking Petty? And that's because that rebellion, dog. Like, yeah, America might just be the teenager that dropped out of high school, but by God, he became a fucking rock star. Unfortunately, right now, we're putting out some weird experimental electronic albums and producers ain't digging it. Like and people aren't buying them. So like it's tenuous, but like, yes, no, I think that rebellious spirit of America is still there and we cannot afford to lose it.
I very much admire the American entrepreneurial spirit, their willingness to take risks, and their independence. But I also think it's good that we don't all do things the same way. I follow the news both in Europe and America, and that's become so much easier since I use Ground News. So let me tell you something about them. Ground News is a news platform that collects and summarizes news which has been published all over the world. Not only do they collect all articles on the same story in one place and give you a quick summary, they also give you a lot of extra information that you don't find in the standard media. And it's really saved me so much time. Take, for example, the recent news that the US has terminated support for Ukraine's energy grid restoration. You see right away that this news has been much more covered by the political right than by the left, which is really curious, isn't it? You also get a factuality rating for each news item, and it tells you whom the media outlets are owned by and where the news has appeared. You can also switch between a focus on US and EU news. Ground News also has this great feature called Blind Spot. This tells you which news has been almost exclusively covered only by one side of the political spectrum. And of course, I have a special offer for you. That's a 40% discount on the Vantage plan, which gives you access to all their features. All you need to do is use my link ground.news/Sabine or use the QR code so they'll know I sent you. I really think that Ground News is onto something with their news overview, so go and have a look. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Again, another good video. Like I said, I agree, I disagree with that one a lot, which is fine. I still like her content. I will still continue watching her, reacting to her when you guys put in the Discord. Speaking of, if you guys are new and whatnot, if you're new members, if you've been new to the Discord, if you have something that you think is interesting and could spark an interesting conversation or dialogue, throw it in the Discord and we can react to it today. There are other videos I can get to if not, but since there are some of you new here, I know a lot of you guys are members, a lot of you are in the Discord. If you have something you want me to react to, there's a section of the Discord called React Requests. If you want to, we'll give a couple minutes. I'll see if anyone wants to throw something in there and we can go from there. But again, I prefer it to be long form, and it doesn't have to be inherently political or whatnot. It could really be about anything, so long as you think it could spark an interesting conversation in the comics, in the comments and whatnot. Okay, I will play this Surstomming video, and if it is fucking brain rot, we're not fucking finishing it. And so you've already you're on thin ice with me after that fucking first one that you recommended. But yes, while we're waiting for others, we'll put on this Surstomming video and see what the fuck you're talking about. All right, let's do this. All right, what is Surströmming? Before we go ahead and click on this, see. Don't like European opinions in general. Facts. They have many opinions about politics, and they should focus on their own, like the splinter being in their eyes, but focusing on another splinter. Who is this gay man in this Abwehr stream? I don't know what you're referring to. When she said switch, I didn't think the same thing she was. Long form. She said, "What up, Jenna? You beautiful bitch. You appreciate you showing up." Enzo, are you leading me down a bad road? Fermented fish? All right. Interesting. Well, let's see what we got with this. It's only 4 minutes, so we'll go with it.
Go.
Oh, here it is.
Okay, here we are. This is Nathan's birthday, and he always likes to do something he hasn't done. So this year I've got him some Oscar's Surströmming, which is herring that's been fermented in its own bacteria.
Now, to be fair, fermented shit ain't necessarily bad. I made my own absinthe with fermented fruit as a base to give it a certain flavor. I ate the fruit itself, got drunk off that. It was really good. I like kimchi, which is fermented cabbage. So, I mean, the idea of fermented fish in general doesn't really turn me off. I would try this.
It'll be nice.
Just like a Yakult.
Yeah, and it's meant to be the smelliest food in the world.
You can suggest the video if you're not, even if you're not a member. By all means, you can't. The link won't actually link in the comments because you're not a mod. But I can try and copy and paste it. Yeah, I know it's an Enzo link. I'm worried too.
But we'll manage it where we love.
Of course we will, Nigel.
So let's crack on.
Well, first of all,
why not? Yeah.
You want to see the wine list? How much milk have you drunk, Perrin? You
2 litres.
Milkshake, banana and
Strawberry.
This is going to look lovely, isn't it?
Oh, I like the little bandana.
So why the candles exactly?
Oh, why not?
Sir?
I mean, they're rubbing up.
It's like, no,
this is worrisome.
How long has it been in tin for? Any ideas?
No,
I can tell you exactly. Since 16th of August,
1644.
Oh, that didn't sound good.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not sure, Philip. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Enzo might be leading my dark path.
Oh my God.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
You do well.
It's not that bad.
Smells like the worst shit you've ever had.
You've not got
Sorry,
that,
Fletch.
then.
Pardon my language.
Smells like dog shit.
Really? Shit,
Bubbling
violating the
away.
Geneva Convention?
Christ.
fermented.
Oh,
It's like Ramirez ball.
oh.
Jesus.
It's good.
What is this for? Like if this is universally agreed upon to be disgusting, why is it sold as food? I'm not inherently against fermented food. Again, kimchi, and the time I did fucking fermented fruit in my absinthe, but Yeah, I'm not liking these sound effects either. Some of the people in Norway like dive into freezing lakes with axes and shit. This seems all right. This is let's keep going. No, we're done. We're done. I don't do gross out stuff. I'm a little bitch when it comes to shit like that. I'm done. No. I saw a little bit of vomit. I was like, no, I don't do gross out humor. That's not my bag. That shit is. Enzo, you're banned. I'm not doing any more Enzo reactions tonight. No. I mean, you can by all means. I'm. I'm gonna do another video now. I didn't like any of whatever that was. Not a thing. See, Mr. Monkey, did you ever put something in the chat? Let's take a look. I don't think. Oh yeah, by the way, we never in the poll. And apparently leftists just are that dumb. That's what it came down to. Leftists are that dumb. Mr. Monkey, did you have something you wanted to put in the chat? Wow. I'll give Mr. Monkey a second because he said he wanted to recommend something, but he's not a member. And that by all means, that's fine. Assuming it's you did put it in there? I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah, so the link didn't come through. Look up Beaver Anon collection. Okay, like I said, answer honestly. Is this going to be something of interest that could spark a good conversation? Because I can already tell you that by the title, I doubt that. And while you're answering, Demon Carol coming and giving 5 Words of Paradise gift to memberships. Thank you so much to the 5 new Vital Idols. Yes, I was absolutely trying to make him a member. I agree. Didn't hit him, but that is A-okay. You got some other absolute badasses in there. Thank you so much, Demon. I'm going to play this clip because this is actually how I feel after daring to trust Enzo.
Leon, Moxie, are y'all niggas happy? Y'all happy? You proud of yourself? I hope you niggas is happy. Congratulations to all the new single moms on the channel, but I just hope you niggas are just so happy with what you've done.
Base Atreus. I love the dude. He needs to finish that fucking game, though. Black people is not holding up their end of the deal. Okay. All right. So despite the name, it actually... All right. I'll try looking up Beaver Anon. Give me one moment here. Let's see. YouTube. Since I don't have a direct link, let's just share my screen here. I innovated my YouTube algorithm. Y'all can see my YouTube algorithm. It's Cinny and Gooch, and just so y'all know, I'm gonna be the guest on Moxie's show tomorrow night. Hey, Cinnamere Stalker. I saw fucking Cinny on screen and was like, yep, gotta give a membership. Thank you so much, Cinnamere Stalker. I don't know if you're familiar with Irwin yet or not. I don't know how new you are to the community, but just in case you need to familiarize yourself with Irwin, I feel like this is the best way to do so.
I'd fuck one of the robot dogs.
You love to see. Thank you so much, Cinnamere. I truly appreciate it. All right, so Beaver Anon. Cronyism and nepotism, 42 views. 71 views. Is this it? Like, I just want to make sure this is you just have uncovered cooch in your algo. Okay, you said no, this isn't it. As long as it's a Tesla robot dog. Beaver Anon. I'm just seeing stuff from this Ryufreon folk. Beaver Anon compilation, 432 views. A lot of stuff about just beavers. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Beaver Anon collection. So this one right. Wait. Oh, that's what I should type in is the word collection. All right. This top one right here. Compilation. All right. Well, it's 53 minutes. We're not going to watch all of it. But yes, we can watch some, 100%. Because a 53-minute reaction would be like a 2-hour reaction. And I probably only have about an hour and 20 minutes left. But we will watch some of this. Sure, let's do it.
Great legitimizer. It is what distinguishes a true leader from a tyrant. Any society, no matter how ideal, will have its share of dysfunctional individuals. These people will seek to further their own ends, their own power, at the expense of others and ultimately at the expense of the nation. If left to their own devices, they will cause the fall of any nation. Thus, let us examine the topic of justice. Why is justice important?
Okay, so is this satire or I mean obviously I'll find out. The Anon voice is annoying, but it's interesting. Okay, if you say it's interesting, by all means, I'll give I'll give it a watch, or at least I'll give part of it a watch, and we'll go through some. And yeah, I am interested. I'm curious if this isn't like if this is some sort of a cool thought experiment. I'm down. First, seen and heard. Remember for 4 months. How you doing, seen and heard? It's been a long time, bro. I was getting worried about you. Leon chat been gooning too much recently, but still keep following and lurking. Also, Dax furry freak. Well, I'm glad you're still here, man. Like I said, I was worried about you. So OG Star Wars. I don't know if you're new to the reaction streams or whatnot, but I have my viewers and audience and whatnot submit interesting and discussion-worthy videos, and we go over them in chat and discuss them and dissect them, and we may agree, disagree, from anything from interesting things about video games to politics, pop culture, and this is something called Beaver Anon, which Mr. Monkey says is real and interesting, and I don't think he's trolling. I think this is like it's something about the justice system, and we'll find out. I'm not sure what it is.
What should be considered a crime? And what kind of punishment is appropriate? This will be important in the times to come as governing bodies and law enforcement agencies become less and less interested in actually defending justice and more interested in defending their own powers. Why is justice?
I mean, out the gate, I agree. Like that's as a former cop who was very disillusioned very quickly with the way the police system worked. Yeah, no, this might be real. Monkey might not be trolling.
Justice important. For a society, and thus a nation to function, the individuals comprising it must agree upon a set of rules, which we call laws. Ideally, the goal of these laws should be to facilitate and protect society by prohibiting activities harmful to it. Going against those rules.
Real quick, Goober says, what is your favorite donut? I don't like sweets. I've never been a big sweets guy. I've always been more of a salty individual. Like even before I did things like the carnivore diet, like the sweetest thing I drink is like 0 sugar soda. On my birthday, maybe I'll have a brownie. But really in general, so if I had to pick a favorite donut, I guess just a plain Kreller. But that's probably a boring answer. But yeah, I've never really had much of a sweet tooth. Love chocolate milk though. Chocolate and strawberry milk are goated.
Would then be harming society. Though the legitimacy of certain laws in current nations is debatable, remember that we are talking about an ideal scenario for the sake of argument. Now, imagine a criminal, as in someone who works against a greater good, usually for personal gain. Instead of examining why he must be opposed, it is better to understand what would happen if he is not opposed. So, we have our criminal doing dastardly deeds. He lies, he steals, he rapes, he murders. Now, of course, the first
there was some escalation there. He lies. All right, that's not good. He steals. Usually not good, but it can be justified sometimes. He rapes. Full stop. No justification for that, ever. He murders. Again, we're back to, okay, you can kind of maybe sometimes justify, like, if you murder a child rapist, that's fine by me. So, never, we actually have Hertz Donut. That's the name of the place, Hertz Donuts in my city. They specialize in these fancy, like, high-class, elegant donut things. It's really, really interesting. But Not yet, though they probably will be. There were tornado watches earlier. I don't think they've evolved into warnings yet, though. I've had my phone away so that I could do the stream, so I don't know. There could have been some warnings that I just don't know about. It was starting to rain when I started the stream, but we also got a pretty decent storm last night, so it may have mostly passed us. Not sure. Angel cream donut with chocolate icing and shredder coconut are my fave. Can't lie, I do love coconut. Yeah, there's lots of tornadoes going on right now. But yeah, no, this is back to this. Okay, that's a pretty big escalation of crimes and violence.
Consequence of this is that it harms society. He is harming people, and if society does not work to protect its members from harm, then it is not achieving its goals. However, being left to his own devices, his effect on society is outright perverse. First of all, many will see that there is no consequence to his actions. And seeing that society apparently does not benefit them, these other individuals will become disillusioned with the idea of the society itself, therefore causing them to also begin working for personal gain. Worse, the dysfunctional individual.
All right, so far, that's a pretty simple claim. If society sees that one person can get away with anything, they will also devolve into it because that means there's a lack of law and order. Okay.
Will often abuse people's goodwill to obtain what he needs.
No, Miss Sparkles, do not put it in general chat. Delete that, please, or I'll delete it, whatever. There's a reason there's different labels to discords. I know you can read. I have faith in you.
Discouraging cooperation between these people, sowing distrust. Eventually.
Well, Jake, while you were gone, we reacted to your Sabine Russell-von-Dorfenhofen, I don't remember her last name, video. Heavily disagree with a lot of it, but it was a great discussion nonetheless. So at some point, if you want to go back and watch it, you've been given some great recommendations. Now we're talking about Beaver Anon.
Without the enforcement of laws, all the individuals stop trying to make the society function and simply try to take everything for themselves, causing national collapse. To a wise leader, there are also great benefits to being just. As discussed before, power only lays where men believe it lies. Power can be obtained through many ways, from faith to blackmail to violence to love to respect. And in the proper administration of justice, a leader gains a tremendous amount of love and respect and thus power.
Okay, so wait, is he about to switch gears and go on like a Machiavellian diatribe here, or is he stick to the positivity? Huh. All right, I get what you're saying, Mr. Monkey. I'm picking up why you find this interesting.
A just leader needs not use violence or fear to retain his power. So, we can determine two tenets. 1. Without justice, society collapses. 2. A proper administration of justice empowers the leaders of a nation. So, the question arises, how can justice be properly administered? To answer this, we must first understand what a crime is. To begin, let us all agree that a crime is harmful. To what or whom? It matters little. But it has to be harmful to someone or something.
He says to whom it matters little. Now, obviously, we need to agree on the premise. What about harm to oneself? For example, suicide is illegal because you harm yourself. But you can't really be punished for it. You're already fucking dead. So like that's an example of just sure, it's harmful and it's illegal, but there's no actual ramifications for the legal system. Also, what about being fat? Being fat is harmful. If you overindulge, you are harming yourself, and so you're but yeah, that's celebrated. That's allowed. Yeah, no, I disagree with the premise in general. However, for the sake of the video, we'll say I agree with it. But I just want to point out I can already see some flaws in the logic. Before we get back to the video, 5-banger from Seen and Heard. Came in late to the discussion. I'm confused by the context, but here's a good night. Don't know. Well, thank you so much. It definitely is late your time. It's like almost 2 a.m., I'm pretty sure. So thank you so much, man. It didn't need to. You did. I do truly appreciate it. And I heard you say you've been gooning a lot lately, so don't forget to... Bingo, bango, bongo. Thank you so much, Seen and Heard. It means the absolute world to me. Let us continue.
There is no such thing as a victimless crime, and thus any attempt at turning an activity which does no harm into a crime has no legitimacy. Note, however, that the harm of the crime needs not be direct. Certain actions are very harmful to society, yet their impact when accomplished by a single individual will be almost invisible. Second of all, we have to agree that it causes more harm than good. Any man pricking children with needles would be accused of child abuse, yet we fully understand the virtue in the medical act of vaccination. This means that any action must be put in context before being
That part didn't age particularly well now, did it?
judged, so as to evaluate whether it was truly a crime. Finally, the perpetrator needs to have a degree of consciousness about his actions. This is why we do not punish children or the mentally ill as harshly.
Okay, he qualified as harshly. I was about to say.
An accident and a willful action are two different things. So, we can say a crime is an action which causes harm, does not cause more good than harm, and which was done willfully. Once this is understood, how do we enforce laws, as in, how do we actually have justice? The answer is simple: prevention and punishment. Prevention.
Now, so far, I'm on board. I'm there's a few things I got issues with. I think his premise is actually a little bit shaky. There's some loopholes through it. But I'm getting it, and I'm following along. I, for the most part, would say I agree. I'm about 70% on board. Where the fuck do the beavers come in? Like, I'm so perplexed. This is a good philosophy so far, but why beavers?
Aims at reducing criminality, while punishment seeks to stop its harmful impact. Prevention is a fairly complex issue which I do not feel qualified to speak about, yet let us say that there are many factors involved, including good socioeconomic conditions, proper education, and a strong yet just law enforcement. What I find more interesting to discuss is punishment, as I feel it is nowadays far too often done wrong. As said before, all crimes must be punished.
You know what? I'm going to agree with that. I do think that most punishment is done wrong nowadays, either too light or far too heavy. Depending on what he says about punishment, depends on how much more I'll elaborate on that. Oh, he was called Beaver Anon. He would post like this on 8chan, if I'm correct. Why? I have no idea, since I've never been on 8chan. Okay, well, I actually, back in my high school days, I was a big fan of both 4chan and 8chan. I'm sure you all are shocked to hear that. So yeah, no, okay. So his name was Beaver Anon, and this has nothing to do with beavers. These are just his musings, his philosophies, and this is a compilation of what he would post. Okay, gotcha. Getting back on track now. Thank you.
That is essential to protect the well-being of a society. If the government or law enforcement refuse to punish crimes, then it actually becomes necessary to engage in the unsavory practice of vigilantism. This is undesirable.
Zombie Bomb says, I don't believe in punishment. I don't know what to do with petty crime. I just want dangerous people to stay about 3 states away from all families. Well, even that would be a punishment. Now, I mean, first of all, I disagree with this heavily. However, if you're basically saying segregate all the dangerous people, that segregation would then be a punishment. So you can't say you don't believe in punishment because your follow-up claim actually refutes that. Like, you do believe in punishment. Now, you might not believe in, like, the death penalty or something, which is fine. So you may disagree with certain types. But I don't think there is a single moral individual on the planet that disagrees. No. But what that is a punishment. Like, you might be saying not to punish them, but that is objectively a punishment. If you are segregating a section of society, which in turn has effects of ostracization, that is a punishment. Whatever your intent means doesn't necessarily matter, because that is the effect, is a punishment. Also, you're going to need to really provide proof that punishment doesn't work. That's a very big claim. Yeah, you have to punish bad behavior. Yeah, I mean, what do you think punishment is, Zombie Bomb? Like before you say punishment doesn't work, which is an extraordinary claim, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. What do you define as punishment without using? What is your definition? Now, there's a definition, the definition, but what is your definition of punishment. By the way, Mr. Monkey, great job. I said I want dialogue with the chat, and we definitely got some. Zombie Bomb in here came in clutch. Good on you, Mr. Monkey. No. Jail is a location. What is punishment? Jail is a location where punishment is served, and going to jail is a punishment. But that is not, that is very uber specific. Saying punishment doesn't work is a very different statement than saying jail doesn't work. I gotta give you credit, Monkey Man. Like, as often as you troll them motherfuckers on New Black Street, you came in pretty clutch tonight. I'm impressed.
Terrible for many reasons, including the lack of experience of the general population in dealing with crime and its punishment. Yet, if justice is not served, then honest citizens are left with no choice but to take it into their own hands. It is thus vital for law enforcement and the government to make sure that they enforce law properly. But what should be the aim when punishing? How harshly should people be punished?
People who get back out don't come back as people who won't hurt anyone or mess up lives anymore. When I was a kid, hurting me might work, but now I get revenge. And said, okay. That is not answering the question. Define punishment. Don't give me your esoteric thoughts on how you think the jail system works or whatnot, because you're jumping ahead. You're taking several leaps of logic ahead before even a basic premise is established. Define punishment.
How is this determined? The aim, when punishing, is to make sure the punishment feels like the crime was not worth committing. It is as simple as that. This is why big crimes should receive worse punishments. However, let us look at it from a pragmatic standpoint. We have individuals here, dysfunctional.
Okay, so you describe punishment as being hurt because you did something wrong. Now, I'm going to show you why you are wrong, because that is not what punishment is. The definition of punishment: the infliction or imposition of a penalty as retribution for an offense. So when you say you don't believe in punishment, you don't think punishment works, you are saying you do not believe that the infliction or imposition of a penalty as retribution for an offense works, is effective. Explain how this does not work in a greater society. You're talking about jail is a non-negotiable here, because that's not what punish. So talk about punishment when using the actual definition, then try and make your claim.
Yet still capable. The aim here should be to
Bingo.
salvage them.
Jana said it best. I punish my daughter. I would never hurt her. Exactly. You punish a child. That does not hurt them. It teaches them. That is a punishment. It is that is literally a beautiful, perfect example. And Jana is a fantastic mother. I guess that I don't consider keeping people safe as a penalty. No, well, keeping people safe isn't a penalty. It's a side effect. When you put somebody in jail because they're a danger to others' freedoms, rights, whatever it may be, you're putting them in jail as the punishment. Them being kept safe is the populace being kept safe is the side effect. Or you could say your main goal is to keep the society safe. Then punishment would be the side effect. Either way, you can't have one without the other. So whether you consider it that way or not, it's still logically inconsistent. I was hurt. You weren't hurt by being grounded, though. You weren't hurt by it. I mean, your feelings may have been hurt. However, let's say we're hurt by it. That doesn't really matter. If you got grounded for I don't know if you got a sibling or not. Let's say one day you hauled off and punched your sibling, and you got grounded. Did you ever haul off and punch your sibling again? If you did, that means that the punishment administered either it was not a strong enough punishment for you to not consider doing that particular crime again, or there's some sort of mental deficiency that would lead you to not care about the consequences. So also, not being hurt over being grounded or having your things taken, that's not hurt. It did not negatively impact you in a long lasting way that was not that was damaging to you in any sort of irreparable factor. I think that's a really, really poor ground. I think zombie bombs sees punishment as beatings. It goes way beyond that. Yes, Mr. Wrong, I agree. What did your beef with Mr. Sparkles? Punishment teaches consequences for bad behaviors, actions, or decisions. What about if you hurt someone? You should be hurt for that. You shouldn't be hurt for that. Sorry. And again, it doesn't matter because punishment does not imply hurt. Again, remember the definition: the infliction or imposition of a penalty as a retribution for an offense. At no point in the definition does hurt come up. So punishment does not imply hurting. It doesn't. So if you're putting it, you're making up a definition at that point. Your feelings getting hurt would teach you not to do that again. I mean, you think having all my hair cut off? It's funny you say that. My dad did that same fucking thing to me for lying to him. I shit you not. I didn't have all of it cut off. In fact, it was worse. He made me get an intentionally bad haircut. I walked into fucking 8th grade looking like a dyke, and that was a punishment. Now, was it cruel and unusual punishment? Absolutely. But you know what I didn't fucking do with my dad? I didn't goddamn lie anymore. I'm sorry. To me, it speaks to being emotionally weak or unstable if you're still clinging to something like that happened all those years ago over something as simple as dead cells that grow out of your hair that will grow back, that can be taken and styled. Some people are born with a deficiency where they don't have hair at all, or they lose it very early, like people with alopecia and whatnot. Like, all that was done to you was effectively, hey, temporarily, this was taken away. It'll grow back. And all those kids that may have made fun of you in high school or whatnot, did you ever see any of them again? Like, it seems to me like you are far more affected due to whatever weakness or anything you have than the actual punishment was the problem. If my daughter throws her toys, bangs on the table, I take it away. That's the punishment. She learns instantly that if she does that, it gets taken away. No one's hurt. Okay, maybe the table. There's a deeper conversation that can be had here about putting non-violent offenders in prison with prolific violent gang culture. Now that, I agree, is a very different conversation, probably one that's far more effective. And yeah, by the way, I agree with this 100%. This also varies culture to culture, country to country. Shit, in America, fucking different state to state and city to city. It is insane how wildly inconsistent this shit is. Yes, by the way, I do think we need massive prison reformation. I'm not about to sit here and defend the prison systems because, yeah, a lot of times it takes these petty criminals and turns them into actual violent offenders. It's a terrible system. But those are my thoughts. They call that corporal punishment. Inflicting pain is a punishment. Not clinging. It's just weird here that childhood punishments don't affect adults. If you're a functional adult, I mean, they shouldn't. That's why we live in such a strange, weak, coddled society. I mean, growing up in the 1800s, parents were having fucking 13 kids because 5 of them weren't going to fucking live past the winter. You were getting your fucking leg cut off in a farming accident, and guess what? You were dead goddamn weight. Like, life was so much more difficult back then. Nowadays, oh no, my dad cut my hair when I was a kid, and I got made fun of in school, and now I've got to go to fucking like therapy at 35. Like, I'm sorry, that's people in the 1800s would look at that as such bitch-made behavior, and like I would agree. Daughter better not be on 30 toys. Childhood punishments are meant to carry over to adulthood. It's literally what makes us proper adults. Yeah, and by the way, carry over to adulthood is 100% true because it's supposed to be early ways to teach you how to function amongst other humans properly. But to have it be like an emotional, like scarring thing is different. I don't think. Now, obviously, there can be punishments that go way too far. You fucking break a vase and your dad burns you with a cigarette. Okay, that's a little bit fucking different than like. Those are extreme cases, and those already aren't tolerated. Those are things that we as a society rebel against and don't accept to begin with. So I don't really think there's a point in bringing things like that up. constructive punishment is necessary. Abuse and punishment are yes, Crap Feeder's correct. Abuse and punishment are completely different things.
So, while punishing the criminal, at the same time he should be evaluated, and those capable of rehabilitation should be given the chance. This does not mean that their punishment should be any less harsh, but merely that we should make sure that they do not turn to crime again once their sentence has been served. Likewise,
Thank you, Big
any
Ship.
individual
Appreciate
evaluated as having no potential for rehabilitation should likely never leave jail, and maybe even be executed. Though I am personally against the death sentence for reasons I don't want to discuss here, my practical mind sees no reason to release someone whose first goal after their punishment is done will be to call.
I'm going to let you guys know my thoughts on the death penalty. I don't think we take the death penalty far enough. I think that it should be public. I think we need to bring back public executions. I'm going to be now, to be fair, I'm going to treat it like, abortion, safe, legal, rare, things like that. But, in all reality, like, if there is 100% evidence that motherfucker committed a crime, it's right there on camera, that DNA matches up, whatever it might be. Like, if someone rapes or murders, like those like the two big ones, and you've got 100% irrefutable proof, not only should the motherfucker be killed, they should do it publicly, because so much of this like lethal injection and the electric chair and shit like that happens behind closed doors and we never really hear about it. So it's not in the public consciousness. However, y'all get the motherfuckers around the public square and you hang a bitch, that shit you gonna remember. And there might be one motherfucker there in that crowd that's like, oh fuck, I may need to reconsider stabbing Susie after our date tonight. Like, just maybe if there is actually a fear of death publicly, that will fix some shit. So I'll be real. Not only am I pro death penalty, as long as the actions do justify the crime, I'm pro public execution, and god damn it, you make motherfuckers watch so that they know the score. And Philip Morgan says agreed. Based. Yeah, lying by omission, not admission. But yes, lying by omission. Yes, lying by omission is still lying. I agree. One time I had to go find my brother, tell him to come home, told me to F off, so I punched him in the kidney, got in trouble, didn't get punished for yelling, F off for ignoring parents. Man, I had a funny story similar to this. It's not right. It just has to do with hitting my brother. My brother was Spider-Man for Halloween one year. My brother's 5 years younger than me, by the way. My brother was 5 years younger than me, and he got like, those Spider-Man costumes have like the buff, the padding, and he's all like, Leon, you can't hurt me now because I've got the buff. And I was like, oh really? And I just haul off and just punched him in the stomach, and not only did he fall back, but the footstool was behind him, so he tripped back over it and did like a backflip and fell on his face. My dad beat my ass, but he was asking for it. He said I couldn't hurt him. Dumb bitch. I love my brother. All right, guys, Sammy is starting. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up now. I do really like this video. We might like cover this in spurts in other episodes of this reaction show because it was going very interesting places. Monkey, I'm proud of you. Good call. Again, it's like fucking hour or 2 hour video. Like, we weren't gonna be able to do the whole thing no matter what, but we do gotta raid into Sammy. Let me set that up real quick while y'all see the pieces and whatnot. Make sure you stick around for after the credits so the raids right into his show. I agree, it was great, and I appreciate you guys for doing it. Like, I really do love doing these reaction streams. Hell, I'm surprised to find out that I loved doing the gaming stream. I mean, I've told you guys before that I don't particularly like doing gaming streams. I've said that in the past because A, my gaming is my downtime, and B, I feel like I don't interact with you guys. Like, I feel like I would struggle to show you guys in the chat the attention that you so deserve if I was gaming, and that's not what happened last time. Like, I was surprised to see that you all had fun, I had fun, the conversation was flowing. So whether it be reaction streams or whether it be these sorts of gaming streams, anytime we hit tier 3 on Neon Leon, anytime we hit tier 3, by all means, we will continue to do these Sunday streams. You guys can vote, and we will do whichever you guys want to do. Gaming, reactions. If you guys have other ideas for streams, let me know. Put them in the Discord, whatever. We can try those as well. I just like doing these Sunday streams. We got to keep hitting tier 3 to do that because, Griff and all that shit. That being said, Thank you so much for those that donated and to the membership chats. It means the world to me. I can only continue to do this because of your support. Thank you. And for those that didn't or can't or whatnot, that's A-okay. Just having you here in the chat. Such great productive conversations. Has so much fun with this. Like, it is a blessing to have you all here. It does mean the world to me. Last notes, obviously late night with Gooch tonight. I'm on Moxie's show tomorrow. Countercast is also tomorrow. It is going to be a dope ass show. And I did release 2 videos today. If you haven't seen those, go check them out. One is about my thoughts on AI art, given that Asmongold situation. And the other one is about great news concerning One Piece live action season 2. Because who says that us anti-woke rage bait grifters don't cover positive stuff? So until next time, again, this is going to raid into Sammy's show. Say in the chat, Vital Idol Raid. Make sure he feels loved and appreciated. And until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.